USA YouTubers, and let's be honest, grifters in any fandom would.
So the first thing I'm worried about is that it gives some of these YouTube grifters, these tourists that have been, visiting our fandom just to shit on some of the projects, it adds more fuel to their fire that they're trying to burn about how, American Godzilla sucks or there's only 3 Toho movies worth watching.
There are a lot of grifters around right now, and they do not care about the franchise, no matter what they say.
Grifters.
YouTube grifters, these tourists.
There are a lot of grifters.
Grifters.
How's it going, everyone? Today, I see Monster in the chat so eloquently put it. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here tonight to get through this thing called Slop. And Joe Smo saying to inject the slop right into his veins, and that picture of gore, that's my thoughts exactly when it comes to my face when I receive slop. And Minecraft in the chat saying, what do you think slop is made out of? Now, usually I say it is bad form to describe something by using the word itself, but slop is, well, slop. So, of course, to make slop, it is made out of slop. And what is slop? Well, it is, of course, slop. So, it's definitely not porridge. And, blue cheese, cheese is actually a really good example of slop in a sense, because there's a lot of really low quality cheese that people just love and will just eat it up. And I'm not someone who likes cheese in particular. Like, I'm not a connoisseur of cheddar, but I'm very particular about the kind of cheeses I like. And like with my movies, I'm not a fan of slop cheese. So there you go. Rose Puppy as well, another person. Hello, how you doing? Art Shade, hello. Guys becoming regulars, so I appreciate that. Black Rooney, stand ready for my arrival, worm. Old Conquest. I am so lonely. But you'll never be lonely when you have Brandine in the chat with us. And of course, if you are someone who needs a figure or a statue painted, then definitely give Brandon or Skull Ghidorah on DeviantArt, or I think he actually just opened up an Instagram as well. Give him a shout out there, and you can commission some art stuff from him, and he'll be able to do that for you, get stuff painted. Of course, I always talk about it. He took a Gemstone Godzilla and colored it up to look like the Stan Winston Godzilla colors, so I appreciate that a whole lot. You were given movies, you were given fights, you were given more action than most, and I still find this fandom ununited and unprepared for GXK3. Do I hate cheese? No, I don't hate cheese. I'm just particular about the kind of cheese that I do like. That's the same thing with like beer. Like, if anyone knows me, I'm not a big IPA type of guy. Like, IPA is just I'm also not a big Guinness person either, and that immediately probably has turned off any person who is slightly Irish in my chat there, which I sincerely, though not really, apologize for. Guinness is just not my thing. I prefer German beers. I'm so lonely. No AI wants to be my girlfriend, Mark. I'll have to consider making a conquest opener for these slop videos, because I think that maybe I might want to save the grifter opening for like really egregious videos, and then like a slop one for these types of videos, like stand ready for my arrival, slop. But I will not be alone tonight. As I promised everyone here, I would be putting a invite to this video tonight for y'all. So that's in general chat there in the Discord. And if you are not a member of the Discord and you do want to join in on these discussions, just feel free, stop in, join. And put that in there for everyone across all the platforms that you're watching me on this wonderful night. I appreciate y'all. Save the grifter if he returns, definitely. Oh, that goes without saying. And of course, the person who says that is the first person to appear. It is the Minecraft. How's it going?
Ayo, it's going fine.
Living life, being a
Yeah,
Minecraft,
finals
dealing with
have
your
been-
movies.
Oh god, I saw the movie twice.
What were your thoughts on it?
It is an absolute atrocity, but goddamn, I had a blast.
Would you say that is slop?
Slop, but it's slop that I can tell everybody working on absolutely enjoyed.
I mean, yeah, that goes without saying. I think there's a lot of people who love slop, but of course, the biggest GXK defender and the biggest 98 can't really be a meat rider in that case because 98 doesn't have meat to ride. So I guess fold swimmer.
He does have
Yeah.
lift.
Nah, fold swimmer. That's where we're coming with the 98 folds. Fold swimmer. The Vic.
I do enjoy some good folds.
Oh.
Okay.
I love that. Oh boy. And coming out next, we love the dog. We love the gasoline. He's gonna commit a No, I can't even say that because it's only 6 minutes into the stream.
No.
Wow. How's it going?
Let's just say that either this stream blows up or we all blow up.
Oh man. Well, somebody's gonna
Hey,
die.
guys.
I keep wanting to
Somebody's
say
going
other
to
things,
die.
but it's not.
As Omacho said, somebody is going to die tonight.
Exactly. And you know, love him. He is a CM, a C-man, some might say. Now,
A seaman.
yeah, let's please welcome our wonderful wiggly white friend here, Sea Monster.
I mean, I'm probably not going to die tonight because I don't have enough beer on me for this.
Don't worry, I'll throw it through the computer screen. It's gonna like deck you in the face. It's gonna be like a total situation.
I'm probably gonna be the one to die tonight.
I guess a lot of people are gonna meet Jesus tonight, and I'm all right with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how's everyone been doing in the last couple of days? Of course, we know how you're doing Minecraft.
Finals has been ripping me to shreds.
You and me both. Anyone watched any movies, written anything, watched anything lately that they've been enjoying?
I've been marathoning the Gamera movies so far. I pretty much watched Guardian of the Universe last night. Pretty damn good, I gotta say. Pretty much gonna get around to the remaining entries, in the next few days to prep for my stream on Saturday.
I was gonna say, it seems like you went through those quickly. Because
Yeah.
I think like one day you were at Couch and then you got all the way to Zigra, and I was like, oh wow. I guess you really had some time set aside to do all that.
Yeah, pretty much. It was interesting, kind of fascinating going through these films, like how the first three films in Jiger actually seemed like decent. Maybe nothing like mind blowing, but they had like something going on. And then you have like something like Gamera versus Guiron, which has been described, I guess, at least by Minecraft as the Godzilla versus Megalon analog for Gamera, which I can see that, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have, Virus and Zygra, and especially Gamera Super Monster that are like shockingly bad. With Gamera Super Monster, I think that one might actually be the worst kaiju movie like I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Gamera Super Monster is probably the worst kaiju movie I've watched, but it's not the kaiju movie I dislike the least.
You mean the most? Dislike the most?
Well, I mean, yeah, dislike the most. Like, besides Godzilla 98, I'd say, like, one other kaiju movie that I just do not like at all is Death Kappa. Like, I've tried to watch it several times, and I've just never liked it.
I have been meaning to watch that one for the sake of just getting it off of my bucket list, but I have heard it is absolutely atrocious.
It's just, it's what's really weird is the fact that I never knew this at the time because I didn't associate his face with the name, but Hideaki Anno is actually in that movie as like an actor.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
Like
man.
probably the worst kaiju movie I watched was when Netflix was like completely new and had Reptilicus. That one was really bad.
Reptilicus?
Yeah, the
That
Danish
one
one.
used to be one of my childhood favorites.
I don't mind it. It's like it's very run of the mill, and the reason why I dislike it less than Death Kappa is Death Kappa just seems like weirdly like spiteful. Not spiteful. That probably wouldn't be the right word, but it's like you know how people criticize like toku and kaiju stuff in like the West. It almost seems like someone who criticizes kaiju films made a kaiju film and then just did all of that, like
It's
just poured all of that
it's
kind of
what
like
it's what,
sentiment into it, and it was really weird for me.
from what I can tell, it's what people think kaiju movies are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think the worst kaiju movie that I would say I've seen is Zillafoot. Wow, that was atrocious. That was
That I don't
really
mind as much.
bad.
Like that wasn't the best movie, but it was like it felt like a fun movie in like the sense of it is very much lampshading the fact that it is super low budget and it knows it, rather than like a big budget film that is like, oh wow, don't you know kaiju films are so low budget, you guys? Look at this. It's so unrealistic and it's not it doesn't really make you think this is actually happening, don't you know?
Yeah, I think the thing is that hurt more because I actually I watched Howl from Beyond the Fog the first time out, right afterwards, and that movie was the complete 180 of Zillafoot. It felt like a genuine passion project and a genuinely well done kaiju movie.
It's
And
pure art.
It
What
is.
was that?
It is.
Oh,
It is.
Lo, what was that?
And I said it's pure art. Like
Oh,
it's
okay.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that Howl
Fog.
Beyond the Fog is a really interesting film.
Yeah.
What else really weird about that? Well, not weird, but super interesting is I never got the actual like big release, like that DVD copy. That's like the super special looking one. I watched it online, and I still had like the bookmark to where I was able to watch it online. But then I found a DVD copy at a Walmart, and I was like, I dude. Here's the thing. That trip, I found Dagon, Howl from Beyond the Fog, and the first season of Primal all on DVD. And I was like, okay.
Dude.
I was like, hippity hoppity, this is now my property.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
It's so hard finding good stuff.
It's
Like
past 10 minutes. I can say that. Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's been past 10 minutes.
Oh my
You
god,
know,
my
like-
heart skipped a beat.
No, it was like
I mean-
literally, I was like, okay, you know what? I am super blessed that I found these. These are now mine. You are coming with me, sir.
That is
like
a
for you
lucky
maybe
time.
in the US it's more normal, but like so I'm in Europe, and the weird thing is here in the countries where you expect to find like good stuff, you don't. You go to the small ones like Estonia, and they have like the best fucking Blu-ray box sets you've ever seen. Like yeah, but here I literally don't get anything. It's
I
so
was about to
depressing.
ask like which part of Europe you were, East, Western or Eastern Europe, but you said Estonia, so Eastern Europe. But yeah, that makes
No,
sense.
I'm in Portugal, like
Oh, you're
right
in
next to
Portugal.
Spain. Yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
get the same stuff as Spain, basically. But I went to Estonia a couple of years ago, and it was amazing. Like they had so much cool stuff. I got my Alien Anthology in Blu-ray, which it was very rare at the time, because it was really old. I have like this huge Hitchcock collection, and yeah, like they had so many Blu-ray sets. If I wanted a Tarantino one that at the time was like really updated with the Hateful Eight, I could get like a huge one. Like they had so many cool things. Like it was beautiful.
You get
And
a
then you
Blu-ray
got, like,
set
Spain.
plus a goat.
Yeah.
That's like it's really interesting how certain regions just have like Blu-ray or just physical media of things that you just don't get anywhere else. Because when I've gone to G Fest, the only way I've gotten physical copies of Singular Point and the anime trilogy was due to the fact that they were, I think, like some like East Asian copies, but like everything's in English and it runs
Do
fine on
you,
my DVD player. So I'm like, okay.
if you want to find it, just so you guys know, you can go to Amazon Japan. You change the country, and I think you can get it still Singular Point, like in case
Oh
you
yeah,
wanted to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'll see if they have Rebirth. Gamera Rebirth.
That's
They might
that's,
actually
That's something
try.
I'm definitely thinking about. Probably if
Yeah, I've had
is at G-Fest to get a copy of a Rebirth DVD set if there is one.
Yeah,
I've-
Rebirth is probably pretty much the only thing Gamera that may take some time for me to get around to because I'm trying to have to
You
get
don't
around to
have
getting
Netflix?
Netflix again. I mean, well, I have to subscribe to Netflix at some point, but there's been some things on Netflix I want to get caught up on, and that is one of them. It's definitely on the list, maybe at the
Okay.
top at this point.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering because if you didn't, then that would have been an issue. But yeah, I had the thought. Speaking of that, what if Criterion released a full 4K DVD set of every single Gamera movie, including the short films and Rebirth, all in 4K?
Well, it wasn't Criterion who did it last time. I think that was Arrow. So I think Arrow would be more than likely.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but like, it was just a thought that I had. Wishful thinking.
To me, something very disappointing is that apparently the Criterion collection for Showa has a lot of problems with the glue on the CDs. So
Oh,
you might
yeah.
get that CD that's like completely scratched if you buy a new one at this point. Because
Yeah,
it's like
that's why I got it last Christmas. I bought a custom Blu-ray case for it.
yeah. They made that really big one. That's really nice. Yeah, I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know mine's still fine. I don't use it as much because I still have all my old versions of the films. Like the for me, the only reason why I bought the Criterion set was just to have a version of the Japanese King Kong versus Godzilla. Because outside of that, it just meant that I had like a double or a triple copy of a film I already had.
I mean,
Which
the art
like
for
still
me-
pales in comparison to like the 7 copies of Gamera versus Virus I have. And the only reason why I have that many copies is because there were so many times where it was bundled with another film that I didn't have, and I was like, okay, I guess I have another copy of Gamera versus Virus. Cool, I guess.
Talking
Well,
about
you
it,
know you have spare.
I actually also got to have like 4 copies of the same movie. It was The Land Before Time, like the winter version, because every fucker in my school was like, "Oh, he likes dinosaurs, right? So for his birthday, we're going to buy him this one." And I don't know how. I don't know if they did it on purpose, if this was like a conspiracy or something. They all bought me the same fucking one, the one I hated the most. I love them all. The one I hated.
You don't like
Yeah.
the Snow Land Before Time?
No, I don't like that one. That's specifically that one I don't like. And you know what's funnier? I had a friend. This is unrelated, but also like talking about shitty birthday presents that are on repeat. In my island, we tend to buy just like some cologne to guys, right? Because like, what does he like? I don't know, cologne. So after like 9 years old, you just buy people cologne. So I go to my friend's birthday. I give him his fucking cologne, and he literally says before he opens it, he's like, "This is cologne, right?" And I say, "Yes." He opens a cabinet full of those same colognes that I bought him. He has like 10, and he puts it on a line. So I just remember that.
Considering I just ran out of one cologne and my buddy just bought me another, I cannot imagine having that many like cologne bottles.
That is insane.
Yeah, like so it was so funny that it's still in my mind after like 15 years. Like I haven't spoken to the guy ever again, but I will never forget that.
Would be like you giving him cologne. He puts the cologne thing in his cabinet. He gives you another Land Before Time Big Freeze copy, and you put it like walk into your house, your shelf. But it's like you guys just for some reason keep contact, so it's like an unwritten rule that like every time y'all's birthday rolls around, you just get him the same cologne, and he just gets you another copy of the.
I might do that with someone someday. I might do that. I tend to have these traditions, but because it's like an in joke, but the other person is never in the joke. So normally, like after every year, a random day, someone will get that message from me or something, and I haven't spoken to this person in like 20 years, right, or something like that. So I'm like, I'm going to throw up on you.
Oh boy!
Yeah, because someone once there was this person that threw up on my leg in school. So every 2 years,
no.
I find their socials and I message them and I'm like, hey, I haven't forgotten. One day you'll be like on the street or in the mall or in your house and I'm going to throw up on you. Goodbye. And then I block them and I make a new account.
What?
That is expert level trolling.
That is amazing.
I love that. There you go. Well, we've gotten 20 minutes into this, so I think it is finally time. We have insulated ourselves from the slop, so now it is time to get into the slop.
All right.
So
before we commence, I actually want to state that I am aware of this guy.
Do you have any experience with him? Because I literally by watching,
I actually do. Well,
really?
I haven't talked with him much, but I found his content towards the end of 2022, and I really got into his stuff around the release of the Mario movie, and then I think it was shortly after the release of Nosferatu that I stopped following him, not because I disliked his stuff, but just because I got bored. Because I got bored of his content. I noticed you're covering his Scar King villain review.
Yeah.
Two things relating to that. One, I remember early on, I actually kept requesting that he do a villain review on Destroya back when I was following him earlier, and he did two others on King Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla, the MonsterVerse interpretations.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Because like the reason why I titled this stream a slop stream is because, of course, every single one of his videos or most of his videos are just on whatever the current big movie is at the time, rather than a retrospective examination of other content. And it just generally, these types of channels don't really appeal to me unless they're of extreme, like they go extremely in depth on a on like new stuff that comes out each and every time. I know they are somewhat controversial in these here parts, but I still like EFAP for what they are, and I like how much they go into the weeds on certain things, which is why I don't mind them going in on new stuff versus this, which is like 6 minutes, 10 minutes, optimal like length for a video to post on my channel, things of that nature. And I'm just like, and like, I don't think that he goes into enough detail in his videos to where I think that I'd really watch him with any consistency.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much put it best. Yeah, like EFAP. I pretty much definitely would listen to EFAP more than I would, something like this guy's channel. Even with EFAP's more goober takes on certain media out there, here and there.
Mexico flying.
Yeah, pretty much. Whereas J Films, like something like a channel like this, to be honest, like it just kind of blurs together. To be honest, like these types of videos and these types of channels, really, where they're just like, hey, let's explain. Here's why. Blah blah blah.
And I actually did go back to some of his stuff. I agree that it's slightly annoying, and I can see why I got bored of him. But honest to God, he is not as bad as Adam. I will just
no.
Is he nowhere near as bad as Adam does movies?
Yeah, I don't think he's as bad as Adam does movies, but like, it is the thing of like he just kind of fits within
chasing the trend.
Chasing a trend.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah,
filling up
like
personally,
I only watched his 3 videos. As soon as you said he did Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla, I was like, the MonsterVerse version specifically. Like I knew that had to be it.
Yeah, it wasn't gonna be
Yeah.
Toho ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
think -1 is the
No, I
only
will say
Toho
to his
Godzilla that
I
he's
will
done.
say to his credit, when I told him, hey, I would like to suggest you do Destroya, he did actually show interest in like checking out some of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, but like it could be a mixture of like, oh well, the guy's being nice in the comments section, maybe I'll consider it type of stuff.
I mean, fair. I just
Yeah,
figured,
he
I
could be
figured I'd
polite.
play devil's advocate in that instance, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also,
No, I think
like,
it's-
don't worry. Like, it's not like you have to. Like, it's okay that the guy, it's like he needs to, make money.
Oh, yeah,
he's
no,
doing YouTube. Like, it's understandable. It's fine.
Yeah, I know, I get it.
Also, to be fair, like his opinions are not necessarily like wrong. It's just that they are very basic things. Like it's exactly what I expect from
It's
a normal
just
guy that goes into the MonsterVerse, and he just has the basic opinion, which is these are kind of disappointing. So at least he's not. Yeah, exactly. At least he's not just pretending like the MonsterVerse is like the best thing in the world just to get views. Like he's being honest. So at least he has that level of
integrity in that
that
sense. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would rather someone be surface level but still honest than in depth but fake the stuff they're talking about. Adam.
Exactly.
Well, what's it called? Adam doesn't go in depth because remember, like he said, he's the kind
No,
of person who just
more
wants to
accurately
take
pretend
like we're a bunch
more
of people
accurately
sitting around.
more accurately pretend to go in depth and still lie.
I mean, come on, Minecraft. What would you expect from a movie fan?
Still waiting for that.
I mean,
t-shirt, by the
again,
way.
a movie fan.
I love to have disagreements, but I also like an echo chamber.
Yeah, that makes.
Sorry, it's not a Marvel movie. Fucker.
I like for the film fanatics.
But let's get into it.
that's
And
so
since
much
these videos are so small and short, I won't have to do YouTubers on speed for this. It will be pure, unadulterated J Films, or however he calls himself. Yeah, J Films.
I prefer the other reviewer who goes by Jay's reviews.
J, you mean JXE?
No, Jay's reviews. He mostly does video game content, but
okay.
yeah, go check him out. He does video game content, and he has a series retrospective on the DCAU, among other things. He's recently been doing videos on TMNT. So,
Okay, I'll have to go and watch them.
Yeah, he did an entire series on the 03 show and the 2012 show.
There we go. Wow. All right, ready, gentlemen.
Yep.
Let's do that.
Skarking is the main antagonist of the 2024 film Godzilla vs. Kong Monsters Unleashed. Godzilla has tons of iconic villains. King Kong's most iconic villain is a building, but we don't judge. Is Skarking another memorable addition to the Titan Rogues Gallery? Spoilers, no.
You know what's really weird? Is that sometimes when YouTubers want to talk about something bad Godzilla related, somehow, some way, some shape, some form, almost always, something related to Godzilla versus Megalon will appear.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's Jet Jaguar. Out of every
Jaguar, best villain.
Jesus.
There's no more evil character than Jet Jaguar, the destroyer of gay relationships.
Destroya, King Ghidorah, Monster X, they have nothing on the evil that is Jet Jaguar.
Colorful and shit.
Before we continue
killed the
slandering
child
Jet
on his shoulder, and then he.
Before we
went down
continue
to
slandering Jet Jaguar, I'd like to say, Archade, I will send you to Jesus.
It's
in the chat.
Oh, you know who else is in the chat? Is Omni-Man.
Oh shit! Hi. Hi.
Why would you make me do this? You're streaming before you watch everyone around you die. Think, Zim. What will you have after 500 years? Slop, Dad. I'd still have Slop.
500 streams.
What will you have after 500 streams? Slop, Omni. I'd still have Slop. I'm not supposed to feel this way.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat too.
1 out of 10. Is he bad enough to get a low score, like a real low score, 1 out of 10? This is Villain Review. I make it pretty much every single week. Let's find out.
I think another reason why I don't like him is he kind of looks like me, so I'm just offended on that. On those grounds.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it.
He's not green.
Hollow Earth is a magical place where it's always bright despite not having a sun. The other big thing
He does have a son.
Big monkeys. Sure, they have Kong, but it's not like there's more of them. Never mind. Turns out there's a ton of them. They're all just waiting underground for the sequel. According to legend, they'll one day be freed and take their conquest to the surface. Their leader Scar King hoping to take control of it. Why? I don't know. He's a monkey. And that's it.
Anyone got thoughts on this? But before we give thoughts, you'll still have 98 after 500 streams. Yes, I will. I'll still have my favorite punching bag to bust around and beat up.
I mean, he wants to take over because. Not because monkey, but because it's kind of more like because evil. That's kind of what that's the most that you can really get out of him. He's
basically Sauron as an ape.
No, he's more like Mojo Jojo, you know.
Yeah, no, that's the better.
Oh, come on, Mojo Jojo! Don't diss Mojo like that. Come on. At least Mojo had a reason for being evil.
Both of you to assume he's referring to the good Mojo Jojo.
Yes, the good one.
I'll say this: the only way that Scar King is like Sauron is due to Rings of Power showing Sauron abusing his orcs, when in anywhere else in like Lord of the Rings they never have him do that, because abusing your armies, which are incredibly hierarchical and built on like eye for an eye type of treatment, probably wouldn't take getting smacked around, and that's what ends up happening. I can't believe I have to praise the Rings of Power, because they actually show what happens when you do that.
Yeah, it's one of the few times that millennial writing actually had a reason to be there. So I cannot even be mad about it.
But the orc family is my guy.
Okay.
Remember the orc
to answer, quick derailing, but Rose Puppy. Thing is, Godzilla and King Kong that's a different team up entirely. That's a different ship entirely, and GXK has kind of already worked with that.
Wait, are we talking about ships in my stream?
Archshade brought up Godzilla X Mothra earlier in the stream.
I will slap their nuts.
No, I'm not sorry for bringing them on.
Everybody, that's the big epic motive of Scar King. Honestly, lame as hell. Not only are these I want power and territory motives boring as hell, but it almost seems like they don't even try to make it interesting. Let's look at Mechagodzilla and Ghidorah real quick. Ghidorah wanted to be top dog, king of the monsters, if you didn't read the title of that movie. Amazing? No, but in order for him to accomplish that, Godzilla has to die. Hence, there already being a level of tension from the get-go. Mechagodzilla, yeah, he's Ghidorah again, but at least how he came to be is interesting. Scar King, no. They hype up this old battle between him and Godzilla, but we never get to see it. We never really get to learn why he wants to conquer. I guess just manifest destiny. That's the problem I think this franchise is always going to have. Their main villain is always going to be an animal, and it's hard to give an animal a good motive that's not inherently tied to their nature. They don't have
inherent. That's disingenuous. In a lot of ways. What is your reasoning?
Also, saying at least Mechagodzilla was interesting. It's in what way is he interesting? There's no elaboration on that.
To say that an animal cannot have inherently interesting motives because they are animalistic is, I think, trying to work with this.
Like with an ape, I think an ape is the worst example of a simplistic animal. We have apes in the real world that want to
Exactly.
go outside because they haven't seen the sun in really long time. The thing is, because Car King is not even relatable, he's just like a cartoon Saturday morning from the 80s level of evil. You cannot feel that relation to him. You see like the chimps that are in labs, and you see the video of them going outside for the first time and touching grass, and it's like moving. You cannot do that with Scar King because he's literally like a cartoon.
The thing, like Planet of the Apes, is a really big example of this. You have the fact that, oh my god, I'm trying to work with this. God damn it! God damn it!
Also,
Glenn.
the thing is that like chimps and apes naturally are more inclined to have like greater problem solving and aspirations than other animals. The problem too with Scar King is that he is kind of just King Ghidorah again, where he's an ancient rival to the Godzilla that was sealed away and has now arisen in the modern day and wants to control the world.
The problem isn't, okay, thank you for making my point for me. The problem isn't that they are animalistic. The problem is that they are a repeat. Also, Ghidorah gets the pass because it's a mythological creature, and Mechagodzilla isn't even fully biological.
I think the thing with Mechagodzilla, which is like, I don't mind Mechagodzilla being technically Ghidorah again, because now since Ghidorah like can't regenerate from what is left of him, all that's left is the personal vendetta against Godzilla's instead of the greater aspirations of like controlling the earth. So as a result, it makes sense and it's fine that Mechagodzilla's only motive is essentially an extension of what Ghidorah's was based on the story, whereas with Scar King, territorial expansion and domination of the planet is the same as Ghidorah, which is similar to Ramorax, which is similar to the Mitos. Although the problem is that with the Mitos and Ramorak, they both had smaller details that made those conquests unique. So in the case of the Mitos, it made sense because of the procreation, and with the skull crawlers, the stakes are smaller because it's tied to specifically the island. And as a result, even though you know that the skull crawlers didn't make it off of Skull Island at this point, since 2014 comes after Kong, you still are invested in how exactly was the threat stopped. Whereas with Scar King, you have to then suspend your disbelief in the idea that outside of Ghidorah, Godzilla fought something else that almost killed him, sealed him away, and now it's the second time in the modern day one of these threats has reappeared, and just makes Godzilla's character worse because he just doesn't finish the job.
And not only that, it's the third time with the arcade painting.
And you get like with Ghidorah, like not that King of the Monsters like really explicitly suggested this, but like you can there's at least some room for inference for like why Godzilla didn't finish Ghidorah off, because Ghidorah was like frozen in ice, and you could say at least Godzilla maybe just thought, well, okay, it's like, all right, he's probably dead in there, and plus Ghidorah's an alien, so for all Godzilla knows, like his biology could work the same, where it's like if you freeze in there, you pretty much end up dead, but really that's not the case for Ghidorah. Whereas with Scar King, he buried him in a bunch of rocks, which if Scar King was even remotely as competent as he pretty much should have been in this film, would have been able to dig himself out of there after like after all the time that he had between what his first battle with Godzilla and now.
The fact that he carries
that's not even the worst.
The fact that he carries an ice dragon in some capacity adds to your point, considering how powerful Shimo is supposed to be.
Yeah, Shimo should have been able to break him out a long time ago, and had he done that, Godzilla probably wouldn't have stood a chance against Shimo, even though he probably could have been able to kill Scar King. But if we're to say Godzilla beats or kills Scar King, Shimo's the only one left, that still is a net negative because Godzilla is dead.
Well, even then, like Godzilla, Godzilla would be powerful. Let's just say if a deep-powered axe that Kong had was enough to destroy that crystal and free Shimo from his control, Godzilla probably may have been able to kill Scar King and destroy that crystal before Shimo could kill Godzilla.
Maybe.
The thing is, I don't know if
wasn't
Godzilla would
depowered,
have
though.
known that the crystal was, like the source of everything.
Well, and then we also have to like consider how the crystal works, specifically on Shimo.
Yeah, like I have theories, but the problem is that nothing's official, so nothing really matters. It's basically magic.
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's like, how does this thing even? How is Scar King even using that thing? Like, what is?
Why does it specifically just so happen to affect the second, if not the most powerful monster on the planet at the time?
Yeah, I mean, like we get that the thing is meant to like give her cause pain to her, and that's how he controls her. But how is he giving her pain through that? How is he channeling that?
I was like, this is not canon, of course, but I thought of a really fucked up thing, which is like that's the tail crystal of Shimo's baby, which Scar King killed. So every time like he uses it somehow, she feels like the pain the baby felt before dying or something.
Would have been nice if they had that in the movie.
Exactly, it would have been fucking easy.
That would have actually added a lot to Scar King. Well, not a lot, but a significant amount to Scar King's character.
It'll make him slightly more intelligent because he was somehow able, make him seem more threatening because he was able to kill, even if it's a baby, the baby of the second or the most powerful monster, and then use its remains to then craft something to control the big one.
Exactly, like it's just really lazy writing all over the place. Terrible writing. Actually,
yeah,
fuck it.
It is. Axor was better done than this.
Have these more complex and interesting motives like humans can. Like, watch, let me guess. The next villain is gonna be Godzilla, but this time he's purple and he's gonna want power and territory. That's just the way it is. I will say though, Scar King has some of the most personality of any time.
I'm also just stopping it because I don't want
copyright
slapping my nuts. Yeah.
Okay, I know what he's already about to say here. Like Scar King has the most personality. Is like bullshit. Ghidorah.
That's not to deny.
Ghidorah had 3.
Ghidorah has 3 personalities.
Rodan has a pretty distinct personality as well.
What Scar King has is this fucked up weird charisma. It's not the same as personality necessarily, but yeah, it's like unique to him.
That's.
I mean, yeah, there is that.
There is kind of a personality there, but yeah, Ghidorah, hell, even Mechagodzilla being an extension of Ghidorah, obviously has a significant amount of personality. Titanis Gojira, even before the Wingard movies, has some. Kong speaks for himself. The Mutos, Mutos do have personality. The Mutos do. It's probably the least explicit, but that we've seen, but it is there.
Even Ramorak had personality.
Yeah.
Like honestly, all of them have personality. This is literally like someone looking at an extrovert amongst a bunch of introverts and saying, yeah, the only person here that has personality is the one that's like very expressive. The other ones are like bland cardboard. And it's like, nah.
Yeah.
It's just that the other one shows it more. That's all there is to it.
I somewhat disagree to an extent. I would say that Scar King is the most outwardly expressive of the villains you've seen so far, and that he like wears his emotions and stuff on his sleeve to where you can easily tell like what he's thinking and like what he's likely to do.
I mean, to a certain degree, I understand what you're saying. Like, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but also we need to understand that it's going to be easier for an ape to emote normally. Like, that's just going to be how it works. And I think that makes it seem like Scar King has way more personality than he actually has. Because his personality is just evil monkey. Like,
you compare
he has no style, he has no grace. That monkey has a bold ass face.
Hey, that rhymes.
But yeah, to your point, you compare that to someone like King Ghidorah, who, as Steve said, there's 3, and you could still get an understanding of what's going on through every single one of those heads.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even if it is nowhere near as expressive.
Though, Scar King has some of the most personality of any Titan villain, or just Titan in general in this franchise. They're clearly making these things more human to switch things up, Kong being the best example of that. See, we can relate to him because he has similar eyes to us and thumbs. They're smiling at each other now, giving a snarl or a smug face every here and there. The good thing is that they convey more emotion, making it easier to understand them. The bad thing, and maybe it's just me, but they're starting to become more human, less Titan-like. The original Godzilla movie in this franchise, which almost doesn't even seem like canon anymore, in that film, the Titans feel like these big forces of nature. Now they seem almost more like these anthropomorphic, like Zootopia.
That's what you get when you focus on the Titans.
True. It's true, but also the same. Hello.
Stand ready for my arrival, chat. I don't care how slop you are. I don't care how fun you are. I can see the future. You don't live to win an Oscar.
I love that. There's a going, Black.
It's going. Could be better. So this guy, we're talking about the metaphysics of slop, or what is this guy saying?
We are
What's going on?
talking truly about the metaphysics of slop. In this case, the metaphysics that revolve around the slop that is the Slop King. In the hit new movie Godzilla X Kong: The Slop Empire.
Isn't this a prelude for when Gramuglia strikes a third time?
Exactly. I would
God,
love
that guy.
the opportunity to slap him around for a third time.
Oh,
He looks very slappable. He looks like he belongs in a locker.
The thing is that the moment he opens his mouth again about Godzilla, it would just be another wonderful time for me because it gives me another excuse to smack him around.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here, like, if he does make a third Godzilla video or something like of that nature, I'm probably skipping out on that stream because, like, there's only so much bullshit from him I could take.
That's
No,
for me.
I know who watched his videos so long.
Would you do that? Would you do that if he did it? If he did a video on Gamera?
Of course, if it's kaiju related, it's very
Oof,
good.
I hope he does.
Good. You at least extend your modesty to other kaiju.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pray to God that he doesn't find out about Ultraman Rising.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he's aware of it, but I don't.
Yeah, no, his friends are definitely the type that will know about that movie. Like,
Yeah. All I'm gonna say about this guy is that every time he opens his mouth, I can feel my brain turning into yogurt.
The yogurt of slop.
Yeah.
What flavor of
but
yogurt?
What is this guy in the videos? What's his argument so far?
no, he's basically right. To be fair, like
he's right, but it's
saying,
like in the most surface level way possible. And
yeah, it's very basic.
Yeah, but he got super mad that people were going in on him about it, and that's what I also want to discuss too.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about Scar King, and he's talking about Scar King specifically.
Yeah, and how bad of a villain he is.
I agree with the overall sentiment that Scar King is a terrible villain. Like, as far as villains go, he's probably amongst the weakest ones. I think the strongest one might be Mechagodzilla, purely from a conceptual level. Now, in terms of execution, that is a whole different can of worms that I will get into when the Godzilla vs. Kong video comes out, which will come out any day now. Any day now when my computer decides to cooperate with me along with other things in my life.
Okay, who would you say is the best executed villain in the MonsterVerse so far?
Probably the Skull Crawlers.
Yep, I'd agree too.
Okay.
Yeah, they are logical. It makes sense for the story, and they're threatening, and also they're fucking awesome fighters.
I also love the design as well, like a bipedal, yet somehow like he moves like he has four legs. The skull crawlers move like they have four legs, but they're bipedal. It's such an interesting design.
Yeah, I mean,
and the skull, like the skull itself, like this face, the head design is so good.
They work for the same reason Gallus works. They look emaciated and devilish, for lack of a better term, and it fits because I mean they are straight up compared to devils in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention they're like a pretty cool like little callback to one little creature that's like that in the original King Kong, but obviously reworked significantly to make it like in a way that makes it its own thing, pretty much. Like you can recognize the skull crawler as the skull crawler from the MonsterVerse and not mistaking it for any other incarnation of whatever it may have been based on.
Mm-hmm. Funny thing, for the longest time, I thought that the little holes in the face were actually where the eyes were. But the more I looked into and then when I looked closer into the design, I'm like, wait a minute, the eyes are all the way back in this part of the head.
Yeah, they're small.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they're
it.
like
I thought
orcas.
that for a while too, actually. Yeah, until
and
it was
I'm
like,
like
oh wait,
wondering,
the
how do
eyes are
they
right
see?
there. They're further
Yeah,
back.
Yeah, how do they see? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, it's like an orca basically,
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
but
That makes more
reversed.
sense.
But reversed.
Also,
Okay.
Rose, we ramble a lot.
It's also one of those things too where it's like, with the video being, we're only 3 minutes into the video, we're essentially halfway through the video too. So there's also that.
But yeah, I do want to say that although I do agree with the sentiment that Scar King is one of the worst villains the MonsterVerse has had, I don't think a lot of people that say this truly understand the full extent of just how bad of a villain he is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
So,
not. Yeah.
so like even if this is a surface level of understanding of why he's such a bad villain, I think it opens the floor for discussion, which can lead to people talking in depth as to how bad of a villain he is. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I've compared Scar King to Admiral Noble from Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that movie. I'm so sorry.
The guy who
But
fucks tentacles.
I have
Yeah.
not seen the director's cut.
Yes, it is him. That's
Oh,
Yeah, I have
okay.
not seen the director's cut, but if I had to guess, there was probably an uninterrupted
I
10
thought it
minute
was in
sex
both
scene
cuts.
between. Huh?
I forget if it was in both cuts, that scene.
I think it was in I don't know. I don't know if there's
I
like an
remember.
actual
I just
tentacle
remember
sex
it
scene.
clearly. I don't remember which cut I saw. I just remember them tentacles, and I'm like, okay, Zach.
I
The
haven't watched
Doonery needs to
either.
stop.
I
Zach,
saw
haven't.
anime
I've never
once.
watched. I've never watched either version of Rebel Moon, but from what I understand, the director's cut of at least part one has a scene where Sophia Boutella gets naked. So I'm not sure if that adds value to it.
Ooh.
Listen, you get
Now I
Eh,
want to
Sophia
watch it.
Vitella.
Well,
Now I
Oh,
want
even
I'm
to
then,
going
I
as
don't think it's
far.
worth it. Because, like, honestly, I didn't even know that it was a Zack Snyder movie, and suddenly I see like slow motion, and then I see it again, and then I see it again, and again,
that.
and again,
Yeah, that's the
and
average.
again, and then I look at the clock, and it's again, and it's like it's been 10 minutes, and you did it 10 times. This is fucking Zack Snyder, isn't it?
It's not even
Yeah,
that. The
like,
color palette and just the coloring of the movie is just really ugly. Everything is brown.
yeah, it's horrible. And
Yeah.
dude, like he ripped off fucking Spirit. Like the horse movie,
Spirit.
he rips that shit off in the middle of the movie.
Oh no, he ripped
what
so
the
many
fuck?
stuff
He
off.
ripped
Like
off a lot more than
Star
just
Wars,
Spirit.
Everything.
Warhammer.
Yeah, no. I'm
the Tech
just saying that
Priest.
Spirit in a Star Wars movie was the last thing I expected.
That is
Okay, so do you
insane.
guys just to bring it around back to the original topic? Do you guys remember, if you've seen the movie? Do you guys remember what the inciting incident was? Like what Admiral Noble wanted to do?
Grain.
He wanted grain.
Right, he wanted grain. And at the end of the second movie, which is essentially still part of the first, story that the first part of the movie established, apparently he actually doesn't need the grain and just blows it up.
I need grain. Then blows up grain. Why? Why?
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Maybe he just liked blowing it up. Like he wanted.
No, but
grain
his
just to blow
reasoning
it up.
for that, reasoning for that, shut up, Dino fan. The reasoning for that
I had to do it.
so the reasoning for blowing having the grain in the first place is because they needed to feed the the Imperium, right? The people of the Imperium. Now, I find it hard to believe that they only have the one planet that grows the one specific crop that the entire Imperium needs. But okay, sure, fine.
Dude, it's
not even a planet; it's a moon.
They needed it.
It's not even a planet; it's a moon. Velt is a moon. That's why the movie's called the Rebel Moon.
It's a rebel moon.
I thought the moon was literally just called Rebel. So
what is it? Some kind of rebel moon?
Yeah. What are we on? Some kind of rebel moon?
Yeah, no, they are all rebels on a moon. That's why the movie's called Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So with Scar King, what does he want to do?
Take over the
Conquer.
He wants to conquer
Go
Earth.
outside. He wants to touch grass. Clown communication.
Okay, so he wants to unleash the Ice Age again on the surface world, right? So he goes up to the surface, right, and does something that I consider to be effective, right? So he points Shimo at the sky. Shimo shoots her ice beam at the sky. It freezes the sky. I don't know how that's possible, but okay, sure, fine, whatever. And then he stops and starts making Shimo freeze things at random, which and then starts, reveling it instead of continuing to do it, which gives Kong and Godzilla enough time. Which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it would have mattered, but it would have helped this characterization. Like, oh, he is dead set, and then the question is why? Why does he want to turn the world into an ice age, into another ice age?
Oh, Rooney, real quick. I want to say something that in my upcoming GXK video, which is a work in progress, there is gonna be a little funny thing during the climax that I will be pointing out in that video to suggest like how Scar King and Shimo shouldn't even have been able to got that far in the first place into starting the snow cloud thing.
Yeah. Like,
to be fair, Blackaroni, like you're assuming that he wanted to do the Ice Age thing just because Mr. or Miss Scientist says so, but you don't really know that. Like the thing is, he told Shimo to make it a little bit colder and then like stopped. So who knows? Maybe he just wanted the thing to be at a mildly cold temperature, and that's it. That was his
which is
goal.
where the comparison of Admiral Noble comes in.
Noble.
Like he shoots himself in the foot. He shoots himself in the foot, and then acts as if it was all part of his plan anyway. Same thing with Admiral Noble. I just want to read a comment. Rose Puppy said you should know that you know that song too. Instantly my favorite person already. I'm so happy that you know that
She's
song.
my friend.
You have good taste in friends.
Yeah, she
Chicken and
you should check out her stuff. She has a YTP series called Cracked Formers Prime. She's basically me, but for Transformers. So, yeah.
Nice.
What? No, don't
Was
worry.
that supposed to mean Zim?
No.
Okay. But yeah, no. I think Scar King, on top of his motivations being vague and ambiguous, I find his actions to be both over the top and underwhelming. I say over the top because according to the movie, he has sex slaves, which it took me 2 rewatches to realize it because I mean the CGI is so and the coloring is so that I just couldn't tell because even though they have different models, the coloring is so weird that they all look the same. So
Moncussy.
I'll be right back. Give me a second.
Yeah, don't worry. All right, let's keep going.
You catch Scar King's henchman giggling at Kong, and Scar himself posting up like some sort of West Side Story. He hits this pose on Kong. I don't know, man. It's just weird. I don't like it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. In this last film in particular, they don't feel that big. It felt more like Planet of the Apes. Just this monkey story going down, all this drama. Every once in a while, they'd pass by a mountain, and I'd say, oh yeah, they're supposed to be big. The good thing, though, is that we do see more of Scar King's personality, which helps because it becomes easier to see just how ruthless and like straight up evil this guy is. Like I said, that's the good side of him being more expressive. We see not only he wants to conquer, but he seems to enjoy the fight, the act of killing. This is something I think could have made him better. You know how in nature documentaries, when animals kill prey and they don't do anything with it, it's a big deal. Scientists are like, what the hell's going on? Make him just some deranged titan that doesn't want power or territory, he just wants to kill. It's an aspect of the character I think if explored better could have made him just a lot more interesting as a villain. They do make him smart though. The way he controls Shimo through pain is pretty interesting.
Well, smart, no. Control through pain, interesting. Would be more interesting if we actually knew how he did that besides making the crystal go pling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like actually I do like the idea. Here's the thing. Scar King, if like he wasn't like a Titan ruler and he was just like a loner who was going around killing things, would have been really interesting. It really would have been. It would have also been interesting too if they let him live, because then it wouldn't feel so anticlimactic because there was no investments that I got from like Scar King dying because all the logistics and world building around it wasn't established. So like in like what the film is saying is going on makes sense, but is it really established? Not really. So
the world building was established. It's just horrifically contradictory to what came before it.
well, what's contradictory what came before it, and it isn't established well at all. Like the
also,
whole like Fire Kingdom thing does not make sense.
Also, like you saying that it could have been like a solo Titan, just made me think it could have been like the literal opposite of Kong if it had been like all alone. And then you could even have had something like the War of the Gargantuas, like where Kong thinks that this is like a nice possible friend, and then he realizes he's a fucking psychopath and he has to kill his only friend, like the only one that would have been so much better. Holy shit.
Yeah, like the idea, it would have been interesting too if like for some reason Scar King somehow Scar King escaped, but Godzilla is like chasing after him and fighting against him, and Kong like decides, you know what, Godzilla's been kind of mean to me, so I'm gonna team up against Godzilla to fight for this guy. And then Kong finds out that way and then decides to team up against Scar King with Godzilla and Mothra. And you gotta see Scar King like use his maneuverability to actually like outwit 3 opponents. That'd be interesting. The whole idea of like Kong reclaiming like his role as like King Kong and like saving his people, it would have been more earned if instead of Godzilla being the one to like banish the Scar King, if it was like another, like an ancestor of Kong, like another great ape that stopped Scar King. So therefore it's a matter of legacy for Kong in terms of like living up to like what his people should be, instead of like Godzilla's being shoehorned into the backstory because Godzilla is the big alpha titan who needs to keep everything in line.
Yeah, even if we were just to have the Scar King just be shown to us as like this tyrant, like instead of just being just like so overtly like totally evil and just like getting on Kong's and just not even trying to get on Kong to sort of like come to his side, really. Like what if he actually was trying to be like appeal to Kong and be like, it's like, hey, you could have a family here, and I've noticed that you've had some history with Godzilla, the one who tracked me down here. Maybe you can help me here. Like, just tempt him with Kong with something, like some kind of an attempt to get some kind of interesting dynamic. But instead, I'm hearing an echo.
I think it's the Rooney.
I banished the
Rooney. In private chat if you when you've got something to say. But yeah, like. The thing with Scar King is that I know in the books, it's like apparently he promised that they were all going to rule together, but there's nothing really shown in the film to state that was ever a promise.
There isn't even an attempt at it. Yeah. Like the most that we see that starts out before Scar King does the evil thing to Zuko and everything is he makes fun of Kong for having a metal tooth. That's it. That's in the movie.
And then kills a guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He does an evil thing to Zuko by killing his guardian or whoever it was. But before that, he just makes fun of Kong for having a metal tooth. But there is
one easy thing for a villain or like a tyrant to continue to have like evil subjects if you fulfill the material needs of your subjects. So therefore, your subjects have a reason to actually be invested in serving you, even if they don't particularly like you. If you're doing that for the majority of your population, then you're going to have some pretty loyal people on site. And in the film, we see that the red stripes are very much outnumbered by the slaves. So the idea that the slaves don't just revolt against the red stripes and Scar King makes no sense because of the vast number difference, but also considering the fact that they can go on hunting trips and they do so. Since obviously Scar and a few others go out to destroy the above ground Hollow Earth station, and then they're roaming around the middle Hollow Earth before they go to the fire pit.
Again,
if Scar King literally just like helped his people more, maybe he'd have way more than just a few henchmen.
I'm sorry if I interrupted you. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting my crap, but it's like again, if you're this active enough to go on hunting parties and all that, why not you? What is stopping you guys from just taking Shimo with you guys to go look for a fucking portal?
Or blasting the blasting areas of the inner hollow earth in order to break the barrier to come up to the surface of the hollow earth and get to a portal.
And you've stated before, I think this was on a previous stream, maybe Shimo was a form of intimidation. Okay, the apes still severely outnumber them. Like,
Not
that
to
is a
mention,
massive
like,
population difference. And
also, if the apes are if like the great apes are capable of communication and are capable of complex thoughts of like ruling together and stuff like that, you don't think that any of the slave apes wouldn't be smart enough to like have betrayals? And although you do see 3 people's heads on spikes, that all we know from that, based on what you show, is that there were people who were disloyal or they did something to piss off Scar King. As a result, they were killed. There's still so many other factors in which the great apes could foil Scar King's plan, and Scar King does so much to undermine his own power base that the idea that he is a threat at all makes no sense.
Yeah.
Also, like, to be fair, if we start talking about all the things that don't make sense, we will be here like 7 hours because this movie is so bad.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for my upcoming video to find out.
Both of the C's are doing that. So,
Rennie has something to say, he says.
Firstly, is my audio different or
It's
good or bad?
different, but we don't hear an echo.
Okay, so with Scar King, I have a clip from one of my streams that I did involving Rick the Squirrel. See, I mentioned him by name. If only I could get a similar treatment. Anyway, so I made a clip talking about Scar King and his effectivity as a villain. It reminds me a bit of a Bug's Life, of the concept of slavery, right? I think that for a villain that has slaves to be effective, I believe that the slaves have to be useful in some way or another. Like, one thing is like a dictatorship. We all know how dictatorships work, right? I mean, there has to be some promise to the people, and there has to be like at least some form of fulfillment to said promise before you yank it away from the people and start taking advantage of them. But like pure slavery, there has to be like slavery. I think it's the most nihilistic, utilitarian thing a human could do to another human. Like, purely from a nihilistic perspective, it's the most utilitarian thing you can do to another human. Like, oh, why do I need to do all the work when I have this person to do it for me, right? What exactly are the apes doing that is so like useful that Scar King just has to have them?
Move rocks.
Or has to like treat them in a way that like would result in there being a slave underclass.
Yeah, aside from hunting, which is one specific subsect, not much. Like, even the moving rocks thing would have been rectified had we known why they would be moving rocks for, whether it be fortifications or weaponry or even just monuments in some way, shape, and or form to their leader, to their past, or hell, even to Shimo.
Yeah, well, the thing too is that like considering that there was like a great ape throne room, if there was like a like more impressive like fire pit, then it would make sense because we can understand that, oh, they're using the slaves because they want to build like this monument, and it's actually pretty impressive that they do it. But I think that maybe in the minds of the creatives, they didn't want to have like I don't think they want Scar King to be an impressive villain, because as they continually say when they're describing him, is that he's supposed to be all the worst things of humanity. So therefore he can't be logical, he can't be smart, he can't really be powerful, but he's still the villain. And as a like villain in a story, there needs to be a reason for him to actually be a threat to the heroes. So they contrive all of these ways for him to be like quote unquote intimidating or smart. But in reality, he's never shown to be any of those things because creatives don't want him to be those things in actuality.
he literally doesn't make sense.
It's a case. It's a case of creative conflict and poor writing.
Yeah.
If
like
honestly,
I wouldn't even call it writing at that point. It's more like vomiting on a page.
Lion King was vomiting on a page. They at least used a pencil for this one.
Yeah, a crayon, and they put it up their nose.
Well, no, they put up their nose and then they were moving their head around because they thought that they were using their brain if they put the pencil in their nose to write this stuff. So,
yeah, and if you went into the room, a really friendly guy will tell you, "I saved you the red one."
I saved you the. Well, yeah, true. Actually, no, it'd be like I saved you the blue one because the only people who say they saved you the red one are Marines because Marines are your best friends. So they'll save you the red one if you're a Marine friend.
Oh my god! I think you pissed off Black.
Well, I don't think. Well, Black's not in the Marines. He's in the.
I know.
He's in the army.
I know.
And it's a great little personality touch. The problem with Shimo, though, is he reminds me of just how
Look at his belly. Look at the fat man. Look at the fat monkey.
Of Scar King.
Fat bald.
He went from this golden three-headed dragon to Robot Godzilla to just Orange King Kong. Shimo, that's so much. Scar King actually doesn't really have that many scenes. He has his intro scene and then the finale at the end, and that's about it. I'm not saying he needs to be popping up every 10 seconds like Atreus hints in God of War. And to his credit, the big fight at the end is pretty long. It's got two phases like Scar King's an Elden Ring boss fight. One in Hollow Earth and one on the surface. Boys' Day at the beach. His intro scene is solid. It does everything it needs to do. It shows he's stronger than Kong, although barely.
Well, he's actually not stronger than Kong.
No. Yeah, exactly.
He gets the drop on Kong. He gets the drop on Kong at first, because he kind of surprises Kong because he's like a very lanky sort of guy, but okay, he can move pretty much, but yeah, it doesn't take too long for Kong to get the upper hand.
Scar is a sore loser though. That's the biggest thing that scene gets across. He's a sore loser.
Yeah,
exactly. Because to be fair, exactly, so you're that's well conveyed, but also you're ruining your villain because he's not threatening. Because to be fair, when I was watching the movie, I always thought if he wanted to, he could have kept fighting. He could have just keep going. I didn't think that he lost the fight.
I think a better version of this scene would have had, say, Scar, Kong starts off holding his own, but as the fight continues, Scar becomes more and more unpredictable and eventually manages to get the drop on Kong. Kong loses his axe, but one of the One-Eyes takes it and gives it to Scar. Scar is about to finish him off, but instead he has a different idea and decides, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I'd like to not get my hands dirty this time. Why not let the dragon do it? And then pulls Shimo.
Yeah, to take your idea too.
That's literally the best version of this fight if you go for the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing too is that I think that Scar King needs to definitely be a little bit more intimidating than that, because if I was to do it, I would have Scar King get thrown around here in the shot, call off the people and then just go back into it more and change up his tactics. He's still fast, but now he realizes that he definitely cannot contend with Kong in a straight up fight, and doing a trick where it's he looks like he's gonna go in for a straight on head on test of strength with Kong, but he slips through, gives keeps using these cheap tricks and has Kong on the ground, and then to keep up his big personality thing, you could have him sort of like a shot of Kong's face, and you sort of see Scar King walking around him and swinging the whiplash before finally unleashing Shimo to kill Kong himself. But it establishes that Scar King definitely did beat Kong in this fight, and now he's just using Shimo to flex on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, we should literally be working at Legendary.
Yeah.
I mean,
what
like,
the fuck?
Let me
I wouldn't go that
let
far,
me
but
get my
like,
Godzilla the Arrival pitch off the ground, damn it.
I like what's it called? Literally, even though it's a joke, it would make so much sense for Scar King to use pocket sand as an attack. It makes sense for his character. It would probably give him a chance of winning, which is interesting.
It just convey that he fights dirty and can be a threat while it's doing so.
Mhm.
Hell, but he also wouldn't. But he also like maybe have the fight be a little bit more reluctant. Like he normally doesn't like to get his hands dirty, but in this case, you know what? Why not try something different? And that's why he goes up against Kong for the first time.
Or because of the fact that, like, if we're to go along with his idea that Scar King just likes to kill, it would probably be like a challenge for him. Like, oh, I've never, like, everyone here kind of is subservient to me. It would be kind of fun to fight against something that isn't gonna cower towards me, and like it's a better display of his power. But they don't want to show that because they don't want Scar King to win, because he's not supposed to win, and like the viewer and like to the creatives.
Mm-hmm.
And Black has something to say as well.
Yeah. Is the audio still working? Or
Yeah,
there's
a
still
bit of an
some-
echo.
Echo cancellation isn't working. Hold on.
Mhm.
Because it's activated.
Okay.
I don't know what to do about it. So I have a question for the panel. My question is, in regards to the screen time that Scar King is given, would you guys agree that the amount of screen time that he would have received if the movie was better would have mattered in the grand scheme of things? Like if he had more, do you guys think that would have mattered if he had more screen time?
With these writers, I'm not sure.
Not really.
Let me get everyone's thoughts. I'm just gonna meet you real quick, Black. I think that like you could definitely do more with him with more screen time, but the glaring issues about like the world building would still be present. So as a result, could they probably do more to work around it? Yes. How much that could be done, I don't know.
I personally think no, because really I've seen there are villains that are far better executed that have less screen time. I think in one discussion I compared Scar King to Bill Cipher. Bill Cipher has a very similar percentage of screen time, albeit in a different context to his show, where it's a TV show, so there's more establishment. But relatively speaking, I think he has less percentage of screen time in comparison to Scar King with his film, with his introduction, and yet you still get a great sense of who Bill is as a character and why he should be considered a threat.
Yeah, I generally just agree with the sentiment. So the example that I would bring up is Fade Rotha from Dune Part 2. He's barely in the film. He barely shows up. But one thing that is striking about Fade Rotha, especially if you've read the books, is the fact that he's supposed to be a dark mirror of what Paul would have become, because both Fade and Paul are both Harkonnens, technically. They're pretty much cousins. And so with the little screen time that we've given, like we have the whole, with very little screen time, we are told exactly the type of person that he is before the Bene Gesserit can fully register him and his psychology. For example, we know that he's a cannibal. We know that he has maidens that are also cannibals. We know that he values human life so little that he will just casually kill his servants. He has gladiatorial battles that are purposefully rigged to make him look good, and he aspires to become the Baron, the next Baron after Vladimir Harkonnen. He's psychotic. He killed his mother, and because of that, there's some psychosexual thing going on. That's why the Bene Gesserit, what's her face, Lady Margot Fenring was able to take advantage of that by seducing him and essentially just riding him. Let's just put it that way, to ensure that the bloodline is secure. just in case Paul Atreides fails. But if Feyd-Rautha dies, then the Bene Gesserit still have levers to control him. But the reason why he's such an effective villain is not only because we are we see his actions have rippling effects throughout the story. Like for example, we see Raban be so ineffective with the acquisition of spice production that uh, the Baron Harkonnen is forced to put Fade in charge of the spice. We slowly see how much more effective Fade is than Raban, and over time, the Fremen are pushed into the outskirts of the desert and are forced to move about, and the Harkonnens manage to find bases and sieges where the Fremen hide. And so slowly, we don't see much of Feyd-Rautha, but we feel his influence because things happen that directly affect Paul and Chani and Siege Tabr in an effective manner. Like one of the most important sieges in Arrakis is bombed and destroyed, and prisoners are taken and executed, and that forces Paul to wrestle with the fact, okay, should I actually become the Lisan al Gaib that people want me to be, or should I not? Because if I do, then it'll unleash a holy war and millions will die because I gain control. I have to do everything in my power to not gain control. But slowly, through Feyd-Rautha's actions and leadership, which we see off screen, Paul is forced to make a choice that ultimately alters his character. So I think when comparing a character like Feyd-Rautha to Scar King, I think Scar King falls super short because all the effects we see aren't even from directly related to Kong. We see that Zuko has been abused, and we see that Zuko is super. He has his guard up, rightfully so, against Kong because like in their first encounter, Kong uses him as a bludgeoning bat and uses that to knock people around, which I mean, it's kind of hard for him to gain Kong's trust at that point. I would say it's almost impossible. The one remedying scene that fixes that issue a little bit would be the scene where Scar King kills an innocent ape that happens to be Zuko's surrogate of sorts. I don't remember exactly what their relationship was, but the whole point of that is, I I guess I would say that is somewhat effective, but I would also call that cheap because there is absolutely no establishment for who this surrogate is and why he's important to Zuko in his life. So it's cheap emotional beats that just it, it's it's a substitute for actual substance. It's completely artificial, which is where Skarking Falls fails.
Yeah, I think another thing that adds to your villain comparison, and one from the same genre too, would be Iris from Gamera 3. With Iris, we barely see him in his final form, especially.
Should we spoil it since Sea Monster will watch the movie in a couple of
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it in a few days.
Oh wait, see, you've never seen Gamera 3?
No, I haven't. No, I mean,
Okay,
this week is the first time
I'm not.
watched.
Okay, I completely forgot you haven't seen that movie yet. Though I'm pretty.
I thought you were rewatching the films after some time.
No, watching them. No, this will be first. So
This is the first I'm learning of this.
I figured you would at least know of what happened. But okay, I'll back off then.
Yeah.
We'll
I thought you were the number one Gamera fan.
Though I will save that point for the discussion because that's for the hazy discussion on Saturday. Though I'll save this point for the hazy discussion. So Black, you better be there.
You know what's one thing I also appreciate, as I echo, is the fact that this video is only 6 minutes and we've gone for an hour and 24 minutes. That's what I love about Zimcast here.
Granted, 1/3 of that was us rambling.
Yeah, but that's the joy of the Zimcast. Let's keep going, shall we?
And it sets the schema for the finale of the film. I don't like, though, that he's out here doing flips like Circus Soleil. If you can't tell, I hate the physics in this movie. And then he doesn't really show up again until the end of the film. And I don't know, man. It's fine, I guess. One of those things you enjoy watching while you're there, but will probably never think about again. There's no big or special moment, really, like in past Titan fights. It's kind of just like the rest of the movie. Cool enough, but forgettable. I guess if I had to pick one thing to spotlight, it would be that brief moment where Kong, Godzilla, and Shimo all team up to blow up Scar King into a bunch of monkey popsicles. That's kind of cool.
If I may say something,
Yeah.
so I think his problem is not necessarily the. This is a point that I I mentioned and went in extensive detail. In regards to how long Scar King is on screen, I don't think the problem is necessarily the fact that Scar King has so little screen time. I think the problem is that with the screen time that is given, he is not used in the best way in the best way you could, because like I said, like his presence is only felt through Suko, and we only feel bad for Suko because of cheap emotional points that are immediately introduced and discarded at the same speed as they were introduced. Like it was completely discarded the moment it was introduced, and it for just to get a tear jerk out of the audience, and I find that to be incredibly lazy writing.
Yeah. I mean, even like Ramarek, the big skull crawler, like technically has even less screen time than Scar King. Yeah, you have the smaller skull crawlers that could be seen as an extension of him, but really, Ramarek has significantly less screen time. He doesn't even show up until the last 15 minutes of Skull Island. But that one is seen as like a better big bad in Skull Island than Scar King is in this film. Like at least for as simplistic as the thing as Ramarek is, I mean it's ultimately just like a big an alpha skull crawler that's just kind of that's giving Kong a run for his money. And there's like little hints of personality here and there, but it's like the little screen time we have and the little bits that we have of character that we have with Ramarek is is actually like, all right, this actually he's a functional antagonist if nothing else. Whereas Scar King, what we got here, he arguably has more screen time than Ramarek. I mean, not even just arguably, like he does. But the world building and the way the character's just been executed overall, from the scenes that we see of him and why he's just kind of running things the way he does, making his malnourished slaves move rocks around for seemingly no reason.
For 2,000 years or 20,000 years.
Thousands of years, and for thousands of years, he's not even despite having hunting parties sent out where he takes part in, all that time they could have just been looking for a portal, but they just don't.
I wonder what would have happened. Yeah, I wonder what would have happened if Scar King was unleashed upon the world sooner. Let's say around the same time where Ghidorah was going about destroying things. That things would have turned out a whole lot more differently. Or imagine if it would have happened pre-2014, or pre-Monarch Legacy of Monsters, or at least the earliest it takes place in. I bet
or
the
even
world would look very different.
Say he breaches the surface, and that's what destroyed Skull Island.
Ooh. Another example I would also bring up as to using effective villains is the Viltrumites in Invincible, which is a more recent example, and this is also part of a video that I am planning on making. I'm still writing it on how Invincible masters tension. So we are slowly introduced to the Viltrumites, and we slowly start to understand just how much of a threat they are. So the first Invincible we meet is technically Nolan, and when Nolan turns on Invincible, we really understand just how underprepared Mark is to handle one. And so when Invincible goes to Thraxia, and Luke and Thula and Vidor show up, which, by the way, Thula is not actually in the comic, but I do appreciate her showing up because I like Thula.
Isn't she? I thought there was a Viltrumite that does look like Thula who appears in the comics. Either she appeared in the flashback or she appears later on the comics. But I do remember there is a Viltrumite that looks like her who is in the comics.
She is in the comics. She just shows up.
She's the woman one.
Yeah, no, not the one not Anissa. No, Thula is the one with the long hair and the blade at the end of the hair. Don't say that.
Okay,
Don't
I
say
always
that.
forget.
Okay, but to really, yeah, no, Thula appears much later in the comic. But in the actual show, Thula shows up, and I'm happy that she does because I like her. But I don't know why they made her so old in the show. Like in the comic, she just has like gray hair, but in the show, she's old. Anyway, so we start to get a feel as to just how strong they are, to the point where Mark is forced to unlearn his restraint for fighting, and just Nolan tells him, "Hey, you have to start fighting like a Viltrumite. If you're not willing to kill her, you are going to die because she is willing to kill you." And so, and then General Krieg shows up, and with a single punch, he pretty much disciplines the boy. And so we start to understand just how bad of a threat the Viltrumites are. And given that each Viltrumite is stronger than the last, starting with Nolan, we start to understand, okay, if more of these people show up and I am still underprepared, I am going to be eviscerated. So, slowly throughout the season, we get 1 to 2 Viltrumite appearances. We get to Anissa, who is stated by Cecil to be orders of magnitude stronger than Nolan. So far, the strongest Viltrumite ever recorded. Now, this could be just from Cecil's perspective because he doesn't know about Thula, Vidor, and Lucan, which are all surprisingly still alive. Spoilers for that, by the way. But yeah, no, they're still alive. Miraculously. Thank you, Viltrumite biology. Anyway, and so once we get to Anissa, and Anissa is literally at the verge of killing Mark, who could legitimately, she could kill him 10 times over at that point in time where Mark is, we really start to understand, well, not just understand, but it is hammered home even further just how big of a threat the Viltrumites are, and only 2 have shown up on Earth. Like, ignoring Thraxia, only 2 have shown up on Earth. And then we are told by Anissa that another will come, and he is, according to Cecil, Mr. 10 times worse. And that happens to be Conquest, who shows up. Now, thankfully, Invincible has been training. But even with all that training, and even after the Invincible War, and also spoilers, he still is pretty much helpless throughout most of the fight, to the point where he actually has to beg Conquest to stop in the middle of the fight. And it's only thanks to Mark's biology, because he's half human, half Viltrumite. He has something that the Viltrumites don't have, and that is adrenaline. Which, if you know what adrenaline does to a human, just imagine how much more of a powerful effect it would have on a Viltrumite. And look what happens to Conquest at the very end. But he is the second strongest Viltrumite. Hell, even the score, even the soundtrack by John Paisano calls him the second strongest Viltrumite. And only 3 Viltrumites have arrived. The third one leveled an entire city, then moved to a completely different city to level that city. Then you went to go to South America, and you completely destroyed the town you're in, basically recreating the train scene with Nolan. So 3 cities in flames that were already under heavy reconstruction thanks to the Invincible War.
And that's just what we see. And that's just what we see him do. Mark, who you stated is not Mark, Nolan, who you stated is weaker, completely decimates an entire planet's atmosphere. Like, wipes out, makes an invading planet's life unlivable.
Yeah, that's one thing. He practically turns himself into a rocket. If Nolan, who is the weakest one Viltrumite besides Mark that we've seen, if he's like the second weakest Viltrumite next to Mark, and he's capable of that, imagine just how much more powerful Conquest and Thrag are. Because again, Conquest, second strongest Viltrumite, then Thrag. Just imagine. So we build up the threat slowly. We see the effects it has on Mark, the character development as well, because Mark slowly starts to become a more pragmatic hero in the sense that, okay, if there's anybody that's going to threaten my life or my family, I'm just going to go ahead and kill them at that point. Essentially saying, you know what, Oliver, you were right. I should start killing these villains a lot more often. Conquest was the final nail in the coffin precisely because of the amount of damage he had. And he was also enough of an interesting villain because of the dialogue choice that they decided to go with, which was, by the way, not part of the comics originally. So yeah, just with just a few scenes, uh, Conquest takes half of the episode, and just like an infinitesimal of a percentage of the entire season of Invincible, and he managed to reestablish again for the third time just how big of a threat the Viltrumite Empire is. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do effective villain writing. You have the villains directly affect the lives of the hero, force them to, challenge their preconceived notions and force them to get stronger over time just so they can have a sliver of a chance at defeating said villain. And even at the very end of season 3, Mark is not the same person anymore. He is a completely different man. And it's also kind of nostalgic in a sense, seeing season 1, seeing how hopeful and optimistic Invincible was, and then just juxtaposed because I watched episode 1 and then episode 8 of season 3 back to back, and the juxtaposition is so like strange. Like you see this relatively innocent kid, having idealistic, hopes of being a hero, and then in the next episode you see him bashing a guy's skull in with his head, just pure animalistic rage. I love when superheroes do that.
The thing
I could love
is,
about
like,
Invincible for
I
hours.
have an example that's like literally one scene of a villain, like just appearing out of nowhere. You didn't even know he existed, and he changed the entire story forever. So, in Chainsaw Man, you have devils, which are these things that basically are created from the fear of something, right? So you have very weak devils because some things are not really scary to anyone, and then you have other things that are like really scary. Like for example, spiders are really scary to most people in the world. So the spider devil, by that rule, is like really strong. Then you have like earthquakes, stuff like that. And I like in the middle of the story, these characters go to hell, and basically you learn that there are some fears that are like so strong that these devils have never gone to Earth, because you have to die in hell to go to Earth. And you find out that the fear of darkness is a devil. And so basically there's one scene in the entire manga where this thing literally appears out of nowhere just because it wants to hurt people, and everything like turns black, like it's in only in the manga basically, and the pages basically turn black, and he literally just rips the arms of every single character that you've seen, no matter how strong they are, and he plays with them. And basically like 90% of the characters of the manga died at that point, and then you only have like 3 or 4. So
Just
like,
a question. Is there a woman devil? Because I am afraid of women.
you know what? Actually, probably, yeah. Actually, you have 4 main women devil, and they're all evil. So
You get to
you
look
should
at
read
women.
Well, let's end this off, gentlemen. Last 49 minutes. 49 minutes, 49 seconds.
Scar King is a forgettable villain. I hate the physics in this movie, but I'm only going to sort of hold it against him. I don't like the faces he's making, the snarls and the grins and all that stuff. He feels less like a Titan than any other villain in this franchise. There's no sense of scale. There's no sense of gravitas and epicness. I probably won't think about him really ever again moving forward, and that's okay with me. I'm going to give Scar King a 3.
The thing about
Thanks so much for watching. New
The thing about the physics thing, it's not even like the physics criticism isn't really a thing against Scar King. It's just more like how the film sort of like directs the scenes with him.
Granted, he states it's
Or knock against the
Jiggle.
movie.
I think okay. I remember when Braden talked about this. A lot of the time, this is both apparently in the CGI and the sound design. Which Braden, Jesus Christ, Braden, please just let me be ignorant of these things. Um, so apparently there's like a jiggle slash warble that happens whenever the monsters roar. Whenever Scar King roars, there's this like really strange warbling sound, and the more I hear it, the more it bothers me, and I just want to know because the actual sound design, at least the skeleton of the sound of if that's what it's called in sound design terms, the skeleton of the roar of the Scar King roar sounds fine, like it sounds regal, very old, like it sounds like an old ape, and then I want to know what it sounds like without the warbling. But anyway, that warbling is also present in Godzilla's roar. If you listen close enough, the most egregious example is the scene in La France where he's sucking up that nuclear reactor, and when you see him roaring, you can also see the skin. Also, like it's almost as if he's wearing his skin, and he doesn't have any muscle underneath. He's just kind of
Yeah, it's
wearing a
all
sack of
wobbly.
skin.
Yeah, it looks
It's
really
so
weird.
weird. It's
Yeah.
so ugly.
Yeah, I couldn't help but notice that during that particular scene. It's like, why is he doing what's going on? He doesn't do that at any other point in this movie or in any point prior to this scene.
Like I understand, like okay, so in 2014 when he roars, the throat vibrates a little bit, but it vibrates in tandem with the actual sound that he's making. And the moment the sound stops, that also stops, and it also moves in a way that conveys that the air is leaving his throat. It's leaving his esophagus.
Not only that,
Versus in
also
the
he has more noticeable gills, doesn't he? In 2014.
He does. Yes, he does. And you can actually see that in the 2014 model where it kind of flaps a little bit, but not too much. So it kind of just looks as how you would expect a creature like that to look like when it's roaring and all that wind is leaving the throat, the esophagus. Versus here in GXK, where the skin is shaking from side to side, essentially just rotating in a very unnatural manner that just looks so ugly.
Yeah, not only that, it's not even like after he does the big explosion thing. It's like right before the UAVs like actually start shooting at him. He does that roar, and you see the jiggle. It's like, why are you doing that? Stop!
I personally
Like you could at
like-
the very least put the jiggle physics in the thighs, but not in the throat. He's not a throat goat. Why are you doing this to me, movie? I don't want to see this.
I personally really like it.
He is a throat goat. He literally throated like half of Kong's axe.
I just okay.
hate every
Did
single
you
one.
guys? Okay, Vic, what did you say again? I didn't hear you.
I really like that visual of the muscles jiggling.
It's excessive.
Okay, Vic, I'm starting to think you're just. I'm starting to think you're a contrarian. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to think you're a contrarian.
Honestly, I've been quiet just because my only defense is really that I like what you guys don't.
Okay, fair enough. But I paused the clip from Invincible when he's bashing Conquest's head and like, you enjoying yourself? Still having fun? Answer me!
You
thing I want to
need that
know.
as a soundbite, Zim.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. To kind of pause, to kind of like respond to Vic. It's like we didn't say anything about whether or not we like or dislike, the stuff. Pretty much, we're just talking about what's in the movie. Really, it has nothing to do with how it made us feel. Really.
No, I think it's valid. I think it's valid that he says he likes it. Like he can say it. I'm just saying. Like,
it's okay. It's okay that he likes
Well,
what
the thing is,
that he
I
likes
can
it.
agree that Scar King's development isn't as baked in as other villains you've mentioned. I don't not like that it's half baked. I don't see a problem with it, and I enjoy what we get. So I just that's my own thing. I like what you guys don't.
yeah,
Or
that's fine.
think is not
That's
objectively
perfectly
fine.
fine. I'm not gritting my teeth right now or anything. I'm not. choking the life out of this lizard that I found. I'm not mad. I'm not upset about that.
One thing I also want to note
Why,
is that
Black, why
when
are
it
you
comes
loading a
to-
shotgun?
When it comes to the comments, I think that what's interesting, because I checked some of his other videos, he doesn't really post like one of these here, but it's like he really apparently got a whole lot of people like getting up in his face about this, and I just want to go through a few of these. So like Scar King 10 out of 10. There's KOTM there, can't go wrong with that. Someone arguing the opposite. This one I think is interesting. Say the villain have a simple and boring motive of conquering the world, have no complex motive like human. Then later say he's too humanized and not acting animalistically like he's supposed to. So which is it? So which is it, man? Because these 2 points are contradicting each other. They
They're not
technically aren't.
contradictory.
I've seen similar comments in my video when I clipped that part of my stream in reference to Scar King. I've been told, "Oh, well, what about Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars, or Sauron in Lord of the Rings?" Because like they're pure evil villains, and they also like want power and this, that, and the other. And I know that there's an answer to that because I know for a fact those villains are well written. I just don't have it because I'm not that deep into both
Look,
franchises.
it's actually really
You
simple,
you
actually,
triggered
because
Rose.
here's the thing with Sauron, you're not really going to fight Sauron. You're preventing Sauron from doing something. Here,
Yeah.
you're fighting Scar
Like
King,
he's a
and
primordial
he's not
evil. Like I understand that he's like a primordial evil. The thing is that Palpatine is not only not a primordial evil, neither is Scar King. So I wouldn't compare Sauron to Scar King.
The Sauron comparison would be better if we wanted to say for a MonsterVerse character would be better for King Ghidorah, if anything.
Not even that. I would say Destroya fits that label better, or Bogon.
Well,
Even.
if we're talking about MonsterVerse villains,
For the MonsterVerse
Ghidorah's
specifically,
the
for the
closest.
for the franchise as a whole, I would Destroya or hell even Void Ghidorah.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say Bogon, but I don't. The last time I've heard about Bogon was like what 2018.
Bagon isn't really a good example.
Bagon is
Bagon's strong.
Bagon's a
He's not
weird
a really
case.
good one.
Yeah.
I want him to have a movie. He's so cool. He's so cool. I love him.
Yeah, I mean, here's the and also
you alerted Rose. She's a Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah. But this one's interesting. It's like, honestly, Scar King is such a unique and interesting villain compared to the previous MonsterVerse antagonists. The Mutas were tragic monsters. I don't really understand that. The Skullcrawls were invasive species. Sure. Ghidorah was a living extinction event. Sure. Godzilla was a rogue Terminator. Okay. But Scar King, he's a very human kind of evil. He reigns with fear and oppression. He holds influence through political power in his control of Shimo and his ape army. And it's only fitting he gets easily defeated once he loses control of Shimo. As a lot of servants with his aid, he's ultimately a pathetic old bully who is no match for the combined might of Godzilla and Kong. The fact that people walked away from the film with this impression is exactly why I think that people like him so much, is because he works so well as a punching bag slop villain. Because
what political powers would I want to know? Like the politics of what? Like the one dude? Like could you really even call it politics if the one guy calling the shots has been around for longer than civilization and has been had no contact?
To build upon that, and as well as like just to build upon the whole comparison to Palpatine, pretty much, it's like Palpatine not only had a great deal of power, but he also had a great deal of cunning. He was actually trying to, and he also knew how to play into people's minds, pretty much, and in order to move forward he moved forward with his plans. Like he unlike Scar King, Palpatine is smart. Well, okay, I mean, if we ignore the sequel trilogy and just stick to the OT and prequels, he's a smart villain.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
For this context.
Yeah, no, like I understand. The thing that bothers me is like when I get into the why, because I know Palpatine is not a badly written villain. I know that he isn't, but I can't really place my finger as to why he's a effective villain. Like, why does he want the things that he wants? I kind of find it hard to answer that question because, again, he's not a primordial evil like Sauron, where it's like he's an ontological evil that has to be stopped. He's pretty much Satan.
Well, he's a mixture of both. Because he is an ontological evil because he is a human force wielder, but he is a primordial force because he is the literal embodiment of the dark side because of how the Sith work. So as a result, he fulfills both and is able to play both really well.
Wait, but if
And
he's
not
dead,
only
then
that,
well, okay.
like
If he
he's not
dies,
really.
if he,
Like you have to understand that it's Darth Vader that's the face of the villain role in Star Wars. Even if the Emperor is there, he's not really supposed to be this thing comparable to Scar King. Scar King is the villain, quote unquote, of the movie. That's the guy you fight. It's
so
not the guy that you have
Palpatine,
to.
yeah, so
Yeah.
Palpatine is more of the devil whispering on Anakin's shoulder. Is that what you mean? Is that what you refer to when you're calling him somewhat like primordial in his evil?
I
Well,
would
not
say,
just the devil in
yeah.
Anakin's shoulder, but he's also like the devil in like the Senate's shoulder, pretty much. Like,
As
I
well,
mean, yeah, I would
is
agree. Yeah, I
like
would
a
agree.
looming threat, and he is the looming part of the Empire too. So
yeah,
that's
he's the reason why the Clone Wars happened in the first place. Like he was playing both sides secretly as both the senator turned chancellor in for the Republic, and as Darth Sidious, trying to get like Count Dooku and so on, and the Separatists to kind of like do their thing. Like he's playing both sides, and ultimately he gets what he wants because the Clone Wars pushed things to where the Republic ends up becoming the Empire, and he becomes
In the
Emperor.
Yeah, but if he dies,
in
then
the
doesn't that
simple
just makes the dark side of the Force? Wouldn't that just like end? Because characters like Darth Revan, I don't know if that predates or happens after the events of the original trilogy or the
Yeah,
prequel.
Revan's way before Sidious.
Oh, wait, but then
also
how
at
did the
that
dark side
point.
exist if he's supposed to be like the?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, if we go off of like by the end of Return of the Jedi, it's not that the dark side would just stop existing altogether as soon as Palpatine and Vader are dead. Unfortunately, that's what the sequel trilogy ended up doing, and that's kind of the problem. Like balancing the forces to essentially. Like not so much like get rid of the dark side, but to like have it, but to essentially like not give into it. Like the dark side of the Force doesn't just stop existing altogether. It's just
that's something else too. Is that like depending on who's writing it in the Star Wars universe, the idea of balance of the Force was to certain people, more modern writers, it was the idea that the light and the dark would be at like a balance between each other, and that was where the idea of balance of the Force came from. But when Lucas was originally interpreting balance in the Force, it meant the eradication of the dark side as a result of defeating both Vader and Sidious. And when it comes to Sidious, like there are other dark side wielders in the galaxy, but like the true embodiment of what the dark side was is embodied through Sidious because he is the end result of the rule of two. And unlike other members of the rule of two, he subverted his master like he should have, but was also able to continually go through new apprentices and never had any plans of giving up his like role as like a master and dying to his apprentice to let another one supersede him. He saw himself as the ultimate end goal to the Sith grand plan. So that's why he is a primordial evil, is because he is like the true embodiment of the dark side in that sense.
Yeah, and while the primordial evil in the Star Wars universe could potentially still exist if left unchecked, like the end of Return of the Jedi would suggest that now that the Sith have essentially been it pretty much like have been like kind of squashed essentially, and that the rebellion has defeated the Empire, like better days are like ahead, and a new Jedi Order could arise, and that they would be able to keep things more in check to avoid a repeat of what happened, during the Clone Wars. But then again, unfortunately, I mean, if we are to take the sequel trilogy in the canon, unfortunately, they completely dropped the ball on that. But let's.
Zim. Question. So you said the rule of two.
Yeah.
The rule of one. The rule of two.
Shut up! No!
The rule of many.
Oh God!
Also, like
I will kill you in Minecraft.
Lacaroni.
Hey, I'll invite you to my server.
That you need to take into account is that Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Even if you don't like the newest Star Wars stuff, like even before the sequels, like Star Wars was really good. The Lord of the Rings too, and this movie instead is bad. So like you cannot compare the villains just on that, like because there's so many plot holes in GXK that in the simplified words of Mr. Glass, you have the fighter and you have the strategist. Skarking is supposed to be a strategist, and Shimu will be the fighter, but he's not even smart enough to be a strategist.
Exactly.
Sauron is a strategist because he's commanding armies, and the reason why he hasn't been able to come back yet is because the ring disappeared, which is completely believable. Like it disappeared in a corner of the world where no one found it. Palpatine is a successful strategist, actually, and that's why you have to defeat him. Scar King was sitting on his ass for 3 billion years, moving rocks, playing tic tac toe on a cave. So it's not comparable.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense for him to be like sitting on his ass if he's supposed to be like similar to Sauron. If people want to make these claims that he's like Sauron or Palpatine, then it's like Palpatine and Sauron weren't lazy, okay?
Yeah, all that says is that the person you're talking to has watched like 10 movies in their life.
Mm-hmm. Now it's time for the next video. Why humans never work in Godzilla.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
I'm gonna give. You can see why I was suggesting that he do destroy it for a villain review.
How the hell does the biggest film franchise of all time, with the most films, have almost zero characters you actually remember? Holy cow, dude. It's almost impressive. Like the studios are trying in a lab to make these characters forgettable. Look at the Monsterverse, right? A franchise with now 3 Godzilla movies. You don't know Millie Bobby Brown's character.
Madison
Russell.
You don't know Brian Tyree.
11.
Unfortunately, Bernie.
Bernie.
Unfortunately, I know Bernie.
I hate Bernie. I hate him. I hate him so much.
You still know him. You hate him, but you know him.
Exactly.
I hate that I know him.
Exactly.
Bernie as a character.
Godzilla, stick with me. He's not a character. Fun fact: he's not a real character. It'll make sense.
He is. Titanicus
He's not
personality.
He means he's not a real character in the sense that he's fictional. He's not real in the real world.
Oh no, what's it called? It gets really bad.
Square Cubla.
Though movies treat him as a character, he is not one. In fact, there's a story device I think fits the bill a lot better for the big guy, and that's a setting. That's right. Godzilla, not a character, he's a setting. Webster,
no, he's not.
Defines a character as someone.
I live in Godzilla. I live in planet Godzilla.
Hey, do you want to move to Godzilla next year? Like,
oh sure, obviously, sure. I would love to visit Godzilla.
Wait.
Book, movie, stir, a setting. That's right. Godzilla, not a character, he's a setting. Webster Dictionary defines a character as someone who appears in a book, movie, etc., a representation of an individual personality in a fictional or dramatic work. Yes, he is someone who appears in a movie.
Wait.
So he looked for the definition of character, but he didn't look for the definition of setting to find out that he's okay.
That's
amazing.
That's what we're gonna do right now. So, setting.
Jay, you're supposed to be better than
Let's
this.
go.
Even if barely.
I don't agree, but the reason why I don't agree that he's not a character is not that he has zero characterization, but because his characterization is often inconsistent.
In the Monsterverse,
I disagree with that notion because I disagree with that notion. I looked up the definition of character. Character is a person in a novel, play, or movie that has some import that plays a role in the story in some way, shape, or form. Is that not Godzilla?
No, I'm saying that I'm saying that I disagree, but for a different reason than one would initially think. Is what I'm saying. I think he is a character. I just think that as a character, he's been written inconsistently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it literally a character is just a person in a novel, play, or movie. So that is the basic definition of character. or
And
if we're just
setting?
seen in terms of a particular aspect of a character. So again, Godzilla would still fit both a setting, the place or type of surroundings where something is positioned or where an event takes place. No, so Godzilla is not a setting.
Yeah,
Godzilla.
like honestly, I didn't even need the definition, but
Yes.
just in case, you know.
Just a dunk. We needed it to
Dude.
the dunk.
Yeah.
Jay, you're supposed to be better than this, even if barely.
No, look at his face. He's trying. He's like,
He's got protein in urine. Look at the face.
He looks like he's trying to smile while he has like water in his mouth. He's like trying to hold in water, and he looks like he's trying to hold it in with his cheeks while smiling and talking. That's what he looks like in that frame.
In a movie, but a representation of an individual personality? I think not. Let's take it back to 1954 with the first ever Godzilla movie. I can prove Godzilla isn't a character because not only does he not represent an individual personality, and that's because in fact he represents something bigger, something more vague, an idea. It's important to know the origins of Godzilla when discussing him. In fact, I'd say he's one of the most historically interesting things to ever come out of film. Godzilla represents America. And
see, there it is.
Oh.
If Godzilla represents America, then why did America nuke its own cities several times over? I don't get it. Why would America do this?
Twice in 1 week. Amazing.
Don't you just love it, guys?
Wait, why does America disappear? Why does America disappear for 5 years and doesn't kill the enemies that it needs to before they become a problem later in the future? Why does America?
Oh my
See,
God.
I don't see Godzilla imposing any tariffs on all the other Titans.
Well, I mean, he kind of did in GXK. He imposed tariffs on Tiamat.
Yeah, but that's because Tiamat is I can't think of a joke. Carry on.
Woman.
Why did you say that?
Because it needed to be said.
Because Tiamat is a woman. I think he's very selective. I think Godzilla is really into his. I think he's really into the Japanese waifus. That's why he prefers Mothra. I don't think it's just women. I think it's just anything
Isn't
that's not
Mothra
Asian.
technically Chinese in the Monsterverse?
Yes, it's so Asian. He likes his waifus.
I need to state about the Godzilla representing America thing. This is the second time in a row. God damn it!
Second in a row recently.
If I had a
theme of it all.
If I had a nickel for every time people have said Godzilla represents America, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
No, if what's it called?
200
If I had a
nickels.
nickel for every time someone said Godzilla represents America, I would literally be rich enough to ban that as a form of speech. I would make that hate speech in and of itself. I would enforce tariffs on that, and I would make Mexico pay for it.
Yeah.
Wait, does that mean that Rodan represents Mexico?
Yeah.
You hear that, Braden? You have a patron saint now. His name is Saint Rodan. Saint Rodan of Isla de Mara.
Represents America and also is an allegory for nuclear weapons. Something your history book should have taught you is pretty significant to Japan in the 40s, 50s. The nukes wake up Godzilla, and from there he's a big rage monster that shows the dangers of war and science.
So wait, if Godzilla's a big rage monster, then his personality would be rage due to the broader socio-political themes.
So a character.
You contradicted yourself.
Yeah, rip and tear, motherfuckers. Rip and tear. That's Godzilla in this movie.
Didn't the new Doom game release recently?
Dark Ages
releases on the 13th.
Oh.
I am somewhat excited for that game because I really like the idea of having a crossbow where I get to shoot up shards of crushed up skulls. That's the most metal thing ever.
Yeah. I need to play it once I get the chance. I played Eternal and 2016. Both of them were
I need to play it as soon as I get a PS5. That's pretty much.
Unfortunately, Mick Gordon is not returning, but it's probably for the best.
Oh,
That guy deserves. Yeah, it's probably for the best though because he's been treated very badly. So I hope he finds a better. But no, the new guy, I forgot his name, but the new guy, he's not bad.
Andrew Herschel, who's doing it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I'd have to check.
But I do know that the new guy, he's not bad. He's not bad.
when they go too far. Godzilla doesn't have a personality. Sure, he
Rage.
feels emotions, but so do other settings.
So feeling emotions is not personality?
So, he still says settings.
Yeah.
Is that fucking Pandora? Okay, Pandora is a
He's
setting,
about to talk
and it's
about
also
Pandora.
technically alive.
Ah, for the love
Yeah,
of...
But what's it called? You keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
like when people like bring up Avatar because I don't like Avatar because I side with the humans because I like humans and I don't like
Humanity did
aliens.
nothing wrong.
Okay, Black, I assume you like the one where the child shoots wind at the fire guy.
I don't. I haven't seen the second movie. I barely remember anything from the first movie. But whenever I see
I'm
anybody
talking about
watching,
I'm talking about the Last Airbender.
oh, I prefer the Last Airbender over Avatar, the
Good.
other one, the movie. But yeah, no, that's mainly because of my bias in favor of humanity because I like humanity. That's also why I like Warhammer.
Humanity got some pretty good tech in these movies.
Exactly.
Humanity first, the Emperor protects.
Like Pandora, and then a more vague emotion like that of hope or fear in Gotham City.
Or hope and fear are what Batman represents. So then, by your own logic, Batman isn't a character; he's a setting because he embodies hope and fear.
No,
Wait,
I
but
think
if
he
Batman is a
just
setting,
said-
if Batman
wait,
is
he
a setting,
just-
then what is Gotham?
That's what he said. He says that Gotham
Gotham is a
represents those two
Gotham
things.
is a motivation.
Yeah,
Now
but
Gotham, is that supposed to be a setting? Is it supposed to be Alfred?
Yeah, but like Gotham doesn't really represent hope in any of the movies that it's in.
Yeah, it's kind of antithetical. Like it's supposed to
Yeah.
represent the opposite.
So weird.
Yeah, Batman's supposed to bring hope to Gotham. That's why he's there.
He contradicted himself to the cube, literally, like to the third. I don't know how to say it in English. Actually, fucking never mind. Keep going.
Many movies treat Godzilla like he's one of the main characters, and that's so silly. It's like
No,
it's
You're telling me you're
the first
telling me that
movie.
so you're telling me that the main character in the movie called Godzilla is not Godzilla? That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the Park from Jurassic Park or the Kane from Citizen Kane?
In fact, let's take a second to talk about Jurassic Park. That has memorable characters, even though they're surrounded by dinosaurs. And that's because they have personalities outside of surviving Jurassic Park. Characters in Godzilla movies, the most interesting thing about them is that they're in a Godzilla movie. This puts some of these movies in a weird limbo state where the movie says, let's not develop our characters because people only care about Godzilla. To an extent, I actually think Pandora is...
I mean, that is a problem for some of these movies, but
Yeah.
like not for all of them.
The characters in these movies aren't characters is generally false. We had two separate debates about
Maybe
Kong.
the main reason people go to see the Avatar movies is so that they can say, whoa, look how pretty it is. And while they're better than Godzilla, I don't think anyone really loves
You did
Yeah,
not
Wow.
praise it.
Wow.
Bold of you to say that.
Bruh. I don't hate the Avatar movies, but god damn it, dude, you're really gonna say that they're better than Godzilla? Bruh.
Is it,
Even in
well, I would love to-
comparison
I
to the
think-
MonsterVerse movies,
I think he's only going to
Exactly,
say that
that's the
they
thing.
are
They're
more
blue.
popular than Godzilla because they make more money. I think that's the only reason why, if you would actually press him on it.
Avatar is mid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still better than GVK and GXK as a movie.
I mean, writing wise, sure.
Right?
Exactly,
But I would
yeah.
rather watch GVK or GXK over any of the Avatar movies. I'm sorry. I
would rather watch none of it. I would rather watch none of it and binge Invincible again.
fair.
Yeah, but that's not an option. Like you have to choose, okay? Like now Avatar 1 and 2 or GVK and GXK. Choose now.
Honestly, because I don't want to suffer, I would rather choose Avatar, even though Avatar is a lullaby movie in the sense that.
All right, I have the execution set. All right, I have the execution chamber ready. Let me know when you need
what's
it.
it call it? When he sees the Navi looking at him and he sees the translation, he says, "I'm about to put my balls in your mouth." This is his reaction, just like
I don't like that one of the Navi from Way of the Water. He looks like a Dominican from the Bronx.
Oh, I literally did not even watch Way of Water. I just saw
I have.
clips with
It's
the
really good. I recommend it.
I like this.
Yeah, I'm looking
have
at this.
seen it.
I'm looking at this frame here. Like, this guy's like saying all this stupid shit, and Jake is like looking at disapproval.
Yeah, just like,
he's like, bro,
"You're
come on.
stupid."
Thing is, he looks exactly like my high school film teacher, except that guy actually knew what he was talking about.
Are you talking about Jake Sully or Jay?
He's a film teacher.
Are you talking about the Nami guy or
No, Jay himself.
I didn't know you had blue school teachers.
Oh no, the guy. No, my film teacher just has 8 kids.
But he's blue because you said he looks like him. So
No, Jay. The guy.
yeah, Jake Sully.
The other guy on screen. You fucking
Nah.
Jake Sully's my hero. Jurassic Park 100% balances having interesting characters in an arguably more interesting setting because the characters are still unique and can stand on their own outside of Jurassic Park. And if you disagree, point made. You might say to yourself, who even cares? People only go to see these movies for the monsters. We want to see Godzilla fight.
Oh wow.
I'm about to slap this guy's nuts along with you, Zim.
Bailiff, slap his nuts. No, like we got the Godzilla was made in America, and then we got the people only in it to see the monster straw man. Don't you? I love it.
I think
That's,
this video
again,
was
pure
made
slop.
before -1. I think, if I recall it, was this made before -1?
I think a little bit before.
Maybe.
No, because Godzilla evolves in the thing. Yeah.
Oh
Godzilla-
yeah.
Oh,
so
oh
it
no.
can't be.
Oh
No,
boy.
it's in the back.
Okay.
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 And look, I'm human, right? I get it. That's why I'm there too. The monster fights are great and save so many of these movies, many of which I think are pretty decent. The problem is we've seen it before. We've seen Godzilla fight Mothra and Mecha.
You haven't. You haven't.
Oh
haven't
man,
seen
you
anything
are
from
sounding
Topo.
like Adam does movies now, dude.
Again,
Oh,
because slop loving.
Destroyer, Jet Jaguar, everybody.
Well, he's never fought a jaguar, so
Except for Singular Point, but we don't talk about that.
Singular point. Yeah, and that's
He
the
hasn't
thing, like,
fought
he says,
Destroyer
"Oh,
or Jet
I've
Jaguar
seen-"
more than once, or he's only fought them once. Like,
Yeah.
he's this point of like, oh, we've seen Godzilla fight monsters more than once before. Is like he's like when you go outside of Mechagodzilla and King Ghidorah, it gets a lot harder. It's like like you could say maybe Gigan or Hedorah, he's fought like at least more than once, over the course of the franchise, but the list kind of gets smaller and smaller from there in terms of repeat foes for Godzilla.
Yeah.
At this point. At some point, in order for a movie to stand out, they have to give us more than just a fight, especially when most of the movie is spent with the humans. Let's say the movie is 2 hours, right? And 60 minutes is dedicated to the monster fights, which is insane. First of all, that would never happen. But second of all, that's still an hour of time dedicated to the human characters people don't care that much about. Movies are meant to give us emotion. And when the draw and reason people go to see these movies is largely without emotion, it makes it super hard to resonate with. People say spend more time with monsters, spend more time so we can see the monsters fight. And it's tough because I'm sure the studio wants to fulfill that demand from the audience, but it also hurts the human characters because we spend less time with them.
Yeah, what's interesting is the fact is that like he says like he's very broad with this criticism of Godzilla movies, yet almost all of this feels like it's just directed at the Monsterverse.
The thing is, it is directed at the Monsterverse, and it's like he assumes that the audience that's going to watch his videos only know the Monsterverse.
Dude, can you just
because
say,
it's flop.
can this guy just say, like, the human characters wouldn't be much of an issue if they were well written? Can he at the very least just say that, as opposed to the whole thing like, oh, humans are in a monster movie, or in half of it at least? Oh, that's only half the movie's good now. It's like, fucking hell. A little more nuance than that.
But that would require that he would be able to quantify it in some meaningful way, like he actually knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Why the hell do you think I want you to watch Godzilla vs. Destroyer, damn it? Why do you think I was
Godzilla
asking for
vs.
Destroyer?
Destroyer is probably the best movie in the Heisei era. I just wish it wasn't brought down by the other movies that came before it, but I really do like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
And therefore, it makes it even harder to establish a connection. Fear not, people. When I said human characters never work in Godzilla films, I actually mean 99.9% of the time. Let's look at the two examples of human characters done right. Number one, Bryan Cranston is easily the best part of Godzilla.
And we got the praising of Bryan Cranston as if that wasn't the most low-hanging fruit you could take from the MonsterVerse.
Not only that, I want to see that this guy says something about the guy from Skull Island. I don't remember the name, but that's also one.
I think that Nathan Lynn and GBK, at least the idea of Nathan Lynn and GBK is probably like, I like to think of it as just like what's his name, the Shikishima before Shikishima. But the thing is
but that's in the concept, like from the novelization. To be fair, like the best character in the MonsterVerse is Marlowe. Like he's the one that actually gets an entire arc. Yeah.
I just really like the idea of Nathan Lind and GBK, but he was just so wasted. Like, so his whole thing is just not being a coward. But over the course of the film, we see the opposite of cowardice. He personally goes to Skull Island, a dangerous place at the moment, to talk to Eileen about personally leading an expedition to Antarctica, which he takes charge of when things go bad, and then he in the Hollow Earth, he leads the charge with the heave, which ends up overtaking Kong, which kind of defeats the purpose of Kong being there to begin with. Whatever. And then when the Warbats attack, he's the first to say prepare to attack. When the Hellhawks show up to try and kill Eileen and what's her face, Gia, which they're kind of teleported into that position. It's weird editing. There's a lot of weird editing in that movie. He is the one that goes out of his way to defend them, to escape the Hollow Earth. He is the one that pilots the heave out of the Hollow Earth. When reviving Kong, which, I mean, he succumbed to his injuries, defibrillation is really not going to do anything. He is the one that ignites the heave to explode to defibrillate Kong. So I don't know where they got this notion that Nathan is a coward when he has done characteristically uncowardly things throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
I don't like that they characterize it. They have that be his quote unquote arc, even if it's just like a phantom of what the novelization had. I don't like that they did that because it's really unfair to him. He did nothing wrong.
Yeah, one thing if he started at sorry if I interrupt you. There was also the whole thing of like he had a brother who was in like a test sort of thing with the heat in like going through a portal in the Hollow Earth,
and he died, and then he arrived in the Hollow Earth. Yeah, he arrived in the Hollow Earth, and that would have been like the most important moment of his life. It's completely brushed over like nothing happened.
Yeah, like if the cowardice like at least was started out initially pretty much and it was like a little more pronounced and as the film and then at some point when they do arrive at the Hollow Earth tunnel thing that they go to in Antarctica, then he's all like, okay, this is it. All right. And he just and from then on it's kind of like he starts to become more and more courageous over time. Like that's kind of how you do an arc with that character. Like even if it's not like super in depth, like with like what we've seen Shikishima and -1, it's at least like it's at least like all right. This is like there would be more of a step in the right direction if they did that as opposed to what we got here, where we barely even get any of it really.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I want to say is that from my perspective, when it comes to Nathan's arc, is that we see those acts of courage gradually throughout the film. And one visual thing that I like is that we see Nathan like get closer and closer to Kong, physically speaking, because we start with him like being so afraid to even be near Kong that he doesn't shake Maya Simmons' hand in that scene. And he's like,
I mean, yeah, like it would really make sense because the Titans are known to be radioactive. I don't know if Kong is 100% radioactive or not, but if he's working, whether he is or not, like I don't think even if that were the case, like if he's not, then even still his size would be enough for him to be weary, which is a completely normal reaction to have. But almost all the actions that he's taken ever since we meet him has been nothing but courageous. So like I don't think it was a gradual thing at all. I think it was just there from the very beginning, and it's been consistent. Is that a beeping?
But
ID, get down.
I heard like a ceiling chirp.
The toast
Well,
has been burned.
I
That would
mean,
be my
given the
mom.
name.
I heard it, so that can't be true.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Dang it.
I think Lau said something about toast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, someone burned toast.
Okay.
Ah,
But anyway, but yeah, no, like throughout the entire film, has been nothing but there's not a single thing that he does that can be considered cowardly. The most you could say about that scene is just cautiousness, which, yeah, with a creature as big as Kong, that's kind of warranted. So that's I
Sure, I
don't.
guess, but still, like visually, we see it. I still think we see it gradually. The best way is like whenever he like physically interacts with Kong, like how close he gets. Like I said, we start with him wanting to be as distant as possible, and then we end it with him saving Kong's life, literally being like on top of him to save his life. So I think like that's the visual arc of the film and showing how far he's come.
Even still, like I wouldn't say that at all either, because in that moment, I don't think there really is much of a need for Nathan to be close to Kong to begin with. I'd say like the only reason he got close to Kong is because he really needed to do
Yeah,
that
because
to
he was
really save
meeting
his
Maya.
life. So that's not really. And the thing with Maya, right? Maya is the badass of the group, and I think I would have wanted to see more of her because I love Asa Gonzalez. I really did love when she boobed her breasts boobily across the screen. Very entertaining. But I the you know the thing with that interaction, like, yeah, he's cautious, as any scientist would be around a specimen like that. Even what's her name, Eileen, doesn't like physically interact with Kong that much. In fact, she gets Gia away from Kong when she sees Kong like touching tips with her.
But even if you think that he's not like a coward or anything, which I didn't think anyway, because half of him being a coward is a joke in the movie, right? Is he still like a really great character? Like, does he get like this awesome arc? Because, like, again, compared to Marlowe, Marlowe is like half of his life in the island, and
Oh, I'm
not
just talking
only
about the concept of his arc. I'm not saying that the arc is actually, fully explored in the movie. It's not. I'm just saying that the concept of the arc is there. There's the skeleton of the arc. They just forgot to actually put the meat and the rest of the skin on. That's what I'm saying.
okay.
It's not actually like fully explicit in the movie. It's kind of like the meta understanding of the production of the movie and how the philosophy behind the writing. Oh my god, GVK could have been so much better, but it wasn't. Like writing
Yeah.
wise, there were elements that were could have. That's why it's so frustrating, and that's why I hate it more than GXK.
I mean, I'm kind of like that with GXK. Pretty much, I think there was like good ideas in GXK that they could have done, even with GVK as flawed of a movie as that is, being the foundation and the film that GXK is supposed to follow up on. Like GXK could have done so much better with the concepts it was trying to tackle than what it actually ended up doing.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't completely agree. I mean, I do agree to some extent in regards to the visual storytelling. Where I don't agree is that they had good ideas because, for one, they were working with the same writing team that from the GVK. So I understood from the very beginning that once
No,
the
I
movie
get
was
that.
greenlit, like
Yeah,
it wasn't going to be coherent at all. I knew
yeah.
from the very
I
yeah.
get that. It kind of seemed like the writers for GVK and GXK, which some of them may have carried over from GVK into GXK. Some of them new. It's like they pretty much had good, like for some reason there was like neat ideas that they were trying to play with, that they wanted to play with, but they ultimately were just like, let's just do the bare minimum of exploring that, if even that, and let's just kind of get into like Big Monkey and Big Lizard go smashy smash on each other and against something.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like since that was the goal was to do quote unquote visual storytelling and then do the monster smash toy smashing part. I knew that it wasn't ever going to be good, which is why I wasn't as. I mean, I still ripped it a new asshole, and I'm very glad I'm doing it because it deserved it. But I don't think I was as mean as I am to GVK precisely for that reason because I knew that the movie knew what it was going to be.
Well, I
And
wasn't just talking about the visual storytelling. I was kind of like talking about like having Kong like essentially like actually finding like his people pretty much, and his like
my
it's like him and sort of like either finding a new family with Zuko in some way, and essentially like needing to essentially to kind of see like a contrast to himself to his character in Scar King, because like with Kong, as he started out as we saw him in Kong Skull Island, he was essentially like sort of like the ruler of Skull Island in a place in a way. Like he's the one that's sort of like keeping that place in check with from skull crawlers and what have you. And he's and he's kind of like sort of like controlling it with like a firm but fair sort of rule essentially. Whereas with Scar King, he's just a straight up tyrant who just uses and abuses his lackeys and kills whoever he just feels like he's a son, essentially.
And what I don't like, especially, is regarding Kong's characterization, is that I mean, we already the way we go about Kong's character arc in GXK is where okay, he wants a family, and it's kind of self evident. It has the veneer of being self evident as to like why he would want a family. It's no good for Ape to be alone. They treat it as self evident, but really, I mean, we don't really go that deep into detail, like why a human would want to be connected with its family because we're human and because we love our families. Hopefully, um, that reason seems pretty self-evident. But because we are establishing a world and a new character, even if we already met Kong before and we know that he's lonely, I don't think it's full explored to its fullest extent why he would want more of his species around. Like, what does he want? I mean, obviously he wants to reproduce with them. Like, does he want friends? Does he want love? Does he want to for to continue to be raised?
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
he lost his parents at a very young age. So, like, does he want a new father figure? Like, what would that relationship with the new Kong look like if he
yeah.
were to meet one?
Yeah, and I would say even like with all those concepts, pretty much could have been explored if the film wasn't like honestly, the film would have just been much better off if it wasn't trying to be like this big globe trotting adventure where it has to juggle with both that Kong storyline, the whole thing with the Iwi, and try to like work Godzilla in there somehow. Like if they just cut at least Godzilla and honestly, if the movie was just Kong, the New Empire, and it would have had more time to really explore the story of Kong, finding a new family.
It would also justify having Scar King have more screen time, and not just more screen time, but also more meaningful screen time, because it would require them to actually build the reason as to why Scar King would hate of someone like Kong. I like the the alternate story I posited in my clip from that black screen episode, where Scar King would initially try to reason with Kong before actually going out of his way to hunt him down, because it would show that even if he's a tyrant, he's also a diplomat. He's a diplomat first, tyrant later.
Yeah, and like Star King could even just be like he doesn't even necessarily want to take over the surface world. Like he's just a tyrant over over like that particular section of the Hollow Earth. Maybe he wants to potentially expand further in the Hollow Earth, but he doesn't really have any ambitions. Like wouldn't have like any ambitions beyond that. And the whole tie-in with Godzilla wouldn't even be there. So making him into like Kong's sort of like rival would actually would be even better done essentially than what we got here, because the whole thing with him and Godzilla's rivalry, him having a rivalry with Godzilla, it's like they only interacted like literally like a couple times during the climax. That's really it, and there's nothing meaningful about Godzilla and Scar King having a rivalry, even if you were like during that. Like, it'd be one thing if the film actually like went out of its way to say like, yes, the Scar King is the reason why Godzilla had a thing against Kong, because he pretty much figured Kong in GVK, because Godzilla pretty much would have thought that Kong was like a potential ally of Scar King, like, or some kind of an extension of him. Like, that would have made some level of sense, like why there would be a rivalry between Godzilla and Kong.
Or something even easier, which is just give Scar King his own axe type of weapon, made out of Godzilla parts.
Yeah, it would also indicate that since he is a rival to Godzilla and his species, he would have at least some way to kill him or find some way that he could.
It sounds like you're underwater. I don't know if someone
You
else
are
is
really
like that.
Yeah. I realize we have a whole video to finish up here. So
Yeah. Let's keep going with this one.
Done right. Number one, Bryan Cranston is easily the best part of Godzilla 2014. And that's because, well, I mean, let's be honest, he's Bryan Cranston. But second of all, because he has his own interesting story that is caused by Godzilla, but not reliant on it. A great example of immersing an interesting character in an even more interesting environment. His wife dies as a result of Godzilla's awakening, and from there, he just wants
No.
So he didn't even watch the Monsterverse movies.
Oh my god! This fucking idiot!
Yeah, this guy
Yo!
didn't realize.
It's the Muto. It's plainly obvious that it's the Muto.
Minecraft, he's really making you look bad for having watched
Minecraft. How could you possibly have given this guy some kind of?
I'm having regrets. Okay, I am having a lot of regrets at the moment.
You should.
Oopsie daisy. Okay, he had a little bit of a fucky wucky. It happens.
And then maybe he should be giving someone a sucky for all the trouble, in my opinion.
Listen,
hey, I'm not opposed.
I sincerely apologize for my statements. Okay.
Know what happened. Godzilla pushes the domino and then says, "Go crazy, go do your thing. You got this." Let's take a look at another example in Godzilla -1. Maybe the best Godzilla
And
film.
there's the other low-hanging fruit.
Oh, that's the third one. So we've gotten
Godzilla
was made in America.
Oh, further elaboration.
Hey,
best
no,
Godzilla
Zim,
film
you
of all
should turn
time.
this. Zim, you should turn this into a bingo game. Whenever you watch videos like this, turn it into a bingo game.
I really should.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
have
and
to
further
make a
elaboration.
note sheet.
Sorry if I interrupt you. Further elaboration. Godzilla had nothing to do with what's her? What was Juliette Binoche's name in the film? Her character, the wife. Who?
Sandra.
Skyler White.
Okay,
Yo.
her dying by the Mutos was because the Mutos were waking up by at least one of the larvae was waking up by the strip mining. So
Yeah, that has nothing to
Godzilla
do
literally
with
had
Godzilla.
nothing to do with it. Godzilla didn't even wake the Mutos up.
Easily the best human character. Here, our main character is an ex-kamikaze pilot who never went through with this task, and because of that, he feels a lot of guilt for not helping his people in the war. He's ashamed, persecuted, and throughout the film, the emergence of Godzilla gives him the opportunity to step up and be brave, really make a difference for those around him. Here, he's already interesting without Godzilla. Take the big lizard out, and the story of this ex-kamikaze pilot dealing with that guilt, that's still interesting on its own. Godzilla is a vehicle to help get his story from point A to point B. The arc of the character...
You could say Godzilla as a character helps push Shikishima's character along.
Yeah, it's almost as if, as a villain, Godzilla is extremely consequential to the character arc of the main hero. Almost as if he was written well.
is in no shape or form reliant on Godzilla or interesting because of it. Go see this movie too. It's freaking amazing. Well, everyone, that's my TED Talk. Treat Godzilla like a setting because that's what he is.
That's the worst TED Talk I've ever seen. You know?
I won't.
Hey,
I don't want to
listen.
hear someone using
Don't-
setting in the wrong context while also getting a basic fact about Godzilla 2014 wrong. You have no leg to stand on, my man.
This was a TED Talk, and I got nothing out of it other than
I wish-
rage.
Sam Hyde had a
I
better
wish-
TED Talk, and his was fake.
I wish Ted arrived to talk you down.
Ted might have to come over to my house to talk me down because
Ted needs to slap Jay in the nuts right there.
Aleph, smack his nuts.
Hey, Ted is done talking.
All right, I'd say this is a pretty. Actually, no, this is the appropriate clip that needs to be used for this.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
Just, you got 3 of them. We got 3. Actually, we could say 4 too, because the Bryan Cranston meme is a pretty common one. So
did you go back and get the clips from the Americans Don't Understand Godzilla stream, like the ones that you were adding to the?
I have not, unfortunately.
Oh, Zim, I got another clip for you. Whenever someone says something stupid like, "Oh, Godzilla caused the death of Sandra Brody," you go, "Are you sure?
Are you sure? Oh yeah, are you sure?
Are you sure?"
This one's also a good one too for this video.
You gnome fuck!
Yes.
Godzilla has a device to tell their stories. Don't just make them time fillers between big kaiju fights. Godzilla should be there to help the characters be interesting, but he can't be the only thing that makes them interesting. Balance it out better and use this amazing setting to their advantage.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay.
Can I say the line, please?
No, Jarvis, add 1 valence electron to his entire body, thank you.
Exactly. Can I say the line, please?
You can.
I will send you to Jesus!
That's presupposing Jesus would want him.
Or what's it called? Another clip, because we're being clip heavy today.
Degenerates like you belong on a cross.
That took too long.
Yada yada.
Yeah, there was a very long pause. You should probably crop that.
Yeah, but the little legionnaire, he needed a break. You need to sit in the silence for a little bit.
But need to breathe.
Need to breathe. Yeah. But now it's time for him to analyze Godzilla -1 as a villain. We did one for Scar King, so now it's time for Godzilla -1. And
let's get ready for some basic Slop. Bitch takes.
Exactly.
Yeah, boy.
Where's Godzilla?
And Godzilla fans are starving, trying to convince themselves that villains like Scar King are actually good and that they don't suck. But need I remind you that we just got one of, if not the best God.
Who is we here? We speaking French?
Is we here in the room with us?
Oui, le baguette. Is he speaking French? Who's we?
Exactly.
Godzilla.
I surrender.
-1. That villain. Who am I talking about? It's Godzilla. Is he worth the hype, though? Is he an all-time great? Welcome back to Villain Review.
Yes.
Analyzing Godzilla from Godzilla -1 and giving him a villain score 1 out of 10. Let's do it. Sometimes villains are just villains. They don't have to be sympathetic. They don't have to be likable. Sometimes you just need a big lizard to tear things up, and that's okay. Godzilla -1 takes the character back to his roots, treating him as this unstoppable force of nature. It's why I don't like the Monsterverse that much, because they just
for fuck's sake, he already got it wrong. They're all forces of nature. What he should have said is a metaphor for the nuclear disaster, whatever. Like,
even in -1, he's not even a nuclear metaphor.
Exactly. He's a little bit like a 5%, and then it's like the survivor's guilt and all of that. But also, it's like the Monsterverse. If you can say anything about it, it's a force of nature. What the fuck is he talking about?
It would just be better if they brought Godzilla back to being an antagonist. That's still a basic take, but it's a more accurate take.
Also, that whole thing of like sometimes you just need a bigger lizard, go angry and all that, or something like that. What if someone would just turn around and say in defense of Scar King? Sometimes you just need a big evil red monkey.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not a useful defense, dude. I'm sorry.
Scar King. I don't even get a real name.
Literally.
Only a purpose.
Freaking Shimo got a real name.
Yeah, Shima's a better character, actually.
I've
Take it to your
always
grave.
liked a man versus
Steve.
and that's exactly what this is. I've always liked Godzilla best when he means something. Obviously, in the past, representing the effects of the nuclear bomb that went off in Japan, and while
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear. Nuclear.
It's fun,
not nuclear.
Big things. I get it. But every once in a while, let's make things more serious, you know? Let's make him mean something again. I made a whole analysis earlier about why human characters suck in Godzilla movies, and one of the things I talked about there is that I think Godzilla is more of a setting than a character.
Oh, for
Still
fuck's
makes
sake,
no
again.
sense.
In this movie, he's a setting. He's an event. And it gives
Man, I would absolutely love to swim in Godzilla's balls so I can be his little spermaid.
Ew.
He doesn't eat Rooney. Remember, he has no dick, no balls, and no butthole because this guy feeds on radiation.
2014 had balls. He was circumcised in King of the Monsters. Look at the design. Look at the actual design. He was circumcised. He had balls.
Remember that this man would look up what a character means, and Godzilla fits all the definitions of it, but not a setting. So, yeah.
If he
Almost
says setting once
almost
more,
like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park aren't a setting; they are creatures in the setting, and the setting is the park.
The park from Jurassic Park. Do you think the Kane from Citizen Kane is the setting too? Or the Saw from Saw?
The Saw from Saw works best as a setting because it's
Or-
the Saw.
Or the man from Batman?
Or the Spider-Man.
Texas in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The chainsaw?
The Chainsaw Man.
Oh my god.
Punch in One Punch Man.
The Punch in One Punch Man. Oh, that's great. The Demon and Demon Slayer.
The movie Scary
The nuts and bees.
The movie and the Lego movie.
The Ring and Lord
The
of the Rings.
Godfather in
The Redemption from the Shawshank Redemption.
The face and Scarface.
The War from Star Wars.
The fellas in Good.
No, I'll do you one even better. The Dune and Dune.
The part 2 in Dune.
Part 2 and Dune.
The Age from Avengers Age of Ultron. I got more of these. I got so much more of these.
Taxi driver.
The Squad and Suicide Squad.
The baby and baby.
Rooney, you're killing me.
Oh boy, I got so much more. The Venom
The
from Venom.
Planet of the Apes.
In a Minecraft movie.
Flint and Steel.
The Sleep and Doctor Sleep.
Oh my god. Oh, the Wick and John Wick. What's a parabellum, by the way? I don't know what that is.
Prepare for war. It's Latin.
Oh, the parabellum from John Wick Parabellum.
The list
Gladiator
just
too.
list.
The Judgment Day from Terminator Judgment Day.
Or the day.
The Predator from Predator.
The human characters in this thing are actually pretty good. When the new Twister movie comes out, right, I'm not going to analyze the motives of a tornado and criticize it. It's a gust of wind. The same goes for Godzilla. Sure, you could say it's instinct, it's survival, anything like that. Honestly, fine. We don't need much else here because it makes him more terrifying, more epic, and just better in almost
I'm sorry. Did this ape masquerading as a human just compare a gust of wind to a giant nuclear lizard?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't know the wind could swim.
Like what
I
he's
didn't know
trying to
the wind
say
would
is
have
like
motive.
Godzilla is supposed to be like a force of nature or something, like a tornado. It's like,
Tornadoes can go on water. And they
Yeah,
go
but they
on
don't swim.
water spouts.
well, they don't
And-
swim
and
in
not
it.
only
They just
that-
glide on it.
Again,
can,
like
believe
this
they can.
would apply to the MonsterVerse Godzilla, which he criticized. So, what's his point then?
That is saying I am all of me.
Yeah, finally we got it. This took a while.
I do not like this video. I do not like.
Oh, and it's an ad for an AI.
Oh no.
Hey, be nice to the AI, or else in the future it would kill you.
Roko's basilisk becomes truer every single day.
I keep forgetting that's a thing. Oh my god, that shit's scary.
That's terrible.
Godzilla, not a nice dude. Believe it or not. That's what I've been told. When it comes to his personality, there's not much there. He's
I mean, is he saying that he's not like? Okay, is he saying that there's not? Okay, he's only angry. He's only wrathful because, in that sense, sure. But that doesn't mean. I don't think he's saying what he thinks he's saying.
a walking bomb that looks like a lizard. However, there are some characteristics we can still talk about here, like the fact he's threatening, he feels big, unstoppable, he feels evil. I also think the movie does a pretty good job of establishing his healing factor, something that's going to show, again, this guy's going to be really tough to take down. It adds to how unstoppable he feels. It makes the whole odds of winning this situation just feel impossible for our main characters. Like I said, we don't know why Godzilla wants to kill all these people or
but we do.
This reminds me, the amount of times he uses the word feel, it reminds me of when James Rolfe and Mike Matei talk about how much Shin Godzilla made them feel, or certain things made them feel. They say, it made me feel things.
It made me feel.
This movie made me feel. Yeah, no, this movie made me feel horny. What did it mean?
For Sophia Patella? Yeah, same
it made
here,
me
brother.
feel a funny feeling.
That feels to feel.
The kind of feeling that feels feely.
claim this territory. But if you just look at the dude, I mean, come on, dude. It has to be malicious. It's that look in his eyes that shows there's no getting in this thing's way. There's no taming it or controlling it. I don't know, man. Just the design of the eyes. I keep coming back to it. It looks so evil. It looks so lifeless and soulless. You know how you look at like a monkey? Like
if he said that, if he said that about Shin, in his final form, sure, his eyes are huge. I wouldn't say that. I think there's like an actual. Okay, I think that there's a level of sapience in Godzilla's eyes that you can just see. You know how you encounter a whale or a dolphin and you stare, or an elephant, and you stare into their eyes and you can just like feel the genuine like understanding, just cognition in their eyes. When I see into minus one
for
Goji's
someone that
eyes,
doesn't like Avatar, you really sound like James Cameron right now because I have never seen a whale.
yeah, but I'm just speaking from other people's experiences mainly. Whenever they see whales or elephants, or when I see cats, for example, there's like that intelligence. You can recognize it in their eyes. I see that whenever I see Godzilla's eyes, at least in minus one. So what he's describing, although the malice is outwardly, I don't think the eyes convey it as much as he says it does. But I think it just denotes the intelligence that is actually present in minus one Goji, which compounds the evil so much more. It's also funny because usually the more intelligent an animal is, the more depraved its actions will be. I mean, look at dolphins. I fucking hate dolphins.
Yeah.
Yes! Fuck you, dolphin!
They rape each other for sport.
Yeah, dolphins
That's
are
actually doing.
They get drunk on pufferfish.
Yeah, dolphins are nasty creatures.
Imagine if they made a Godzilla movie based off of a dolphin's behavior.
Oh my god.
That will actually
Listen,
that really scares me are leopard
doesn't have
seals.
similar eyes, doesn't have kind eyes. This guy's got jerk eyes. This guy's got I'm gonna mess you up eyes. It's just pure devastation, and that makes this Godzilla scary as hell. Also, he feels big. In the Monsterverse, they don't feel big. Not when Scar King's whipping backflips and handstands all the time.
Okay, that would depend on which movie he's talking about.
Yes,
if he's
exactly.
talking about Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island, and even King of the Monsters, he would be wrong. If he's talking
Exactly.
about GVK and GXK, he would be right. I think he
Yeah.
needs to quantify before making that claim.
Yeah, he's using low hanging fruit in this case.
And it's not even like showing stuff from Godzilla. He's showing stuff from other monsters. And he could have just used Godzilla alone.
Godzilla's not
but he
even on
doesn't.
screen right now. Look at
And the worst part is that there are actually examples that he can derive from GXK, where the weight and the size and the scale is completely off with GXK. There are examples in the movie that you can derive from. I think this is just the burden of proof is on him to tell the audience that this is the truth and convey that with the editing. I think if he edited this video, I think he just got lazy as opposed to just him, you know. I think this is just him being lazy with his editing, if he is the one editing, as opposed to just, you know, using that intentionally as an example.
Yeah.
Hear all that crazy stuff? No. Can you imagine this guy doing a backflip? There's no shot in hell. Can we talk about the design for a second too? I love how throwback this feels. It shows that there's no
That I'll have to make several bingo charts, because anytime someone talks about -1, saying, "Oh, it's like such a throwback, you guys." That's also like super common.
Throwback to what? Heisei?
Yeah, but
I
I
mean,
think they
his
like when they
design
say that
is
they just
very
mean
Heisei.
throwback to like Godzilla, like classic Godzilla, because when they think of modern Godzilla, they think Monsterverse, which is still pretty close to classic Godzilla or Shin.
nothing wrong with older looking designs for things, and that not everything has to be modern.
But this is a modern design because it's not the same as like the Heisei designs. It's
Also, it's
definitely-
CGI.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
Also,
a
his
complete
movement is entirely different from the other iterations. Even if it's stiff, you can still see in this scene the one moment where Godzilla in -1 isn't. Well, there are many moments in the movie, but this is one of them where he doesn't look stiff at all. He looks like yeah, it looks like how he would be if you were using his atomic breath. How an animal of that size would move when charging and shooting at. Yeah, this is not. Heisei Godzilla didn't do this. Showa era Godzilla didn't do this. He just kind of like fired it. I think it just comes down to the limitations of the technology at the time, which is unfortunate. But you know, it happens. You know, it happens.
More recent adaptations giving him new modern looks, which is cool. Some of them are pretty good, but this slow and lumbering beast, it just feels right. It shows that a design can still be scary given the context surrounding it, something I think is way more important. Also, I just love the villain presence, a villain that you can feel looming over the entire movie. Granted, his name's Godzilla and the movie's called Godzilla, but I think you get the point. Watching this movie for the first time and not knowing when and how he was going to show up really got me stressing. I was hyped because Godzilla's cool, but I was also scared because Godzilla's scary. Some of the best presence I've seen in a villain in a long time.
I love that shot. I love that shot of him in the water and the water hitting the eyes and then the eyes just getting wet. I love that. That's like one of my favorite shots in the entire movie. It's so good.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of great looking shots in this film. And that is one
almost
of them.
everything on the water is like the best representation of Godzilla on the water from the entire franchise.
I also love how he fights the boats as well. Like he's tearing through them. We actually see the debris, the smoke, and we see him go through the smoke. And the way the camera dollies its way like around the ship, where we get like Godzilla attacking from all angles. It's so good.
Yeah.
Pretty sparingly in this movie, making every single appearance have that much more weight. When he shows up, you know something is going down. You know that every single interaction is going to have consequences. Something is going to happen here that will further the plot. His first scene destroying the base is a great introduction to this Godzilla, and even scarier, it establishes that he's still growing. We see this Godzilla.
No, it doesn't establish that he's growing because he's a full-grown creature. Did you not watch the film and see when he gets mutated and why he looks so completely different from his
I think what he meant to say, even if he didn't do it right, is that we know Godzilla is going to get bigger, even if it's unnatural.
Well, no,
also,
the reason
to
why
add,
I don't believe that is because several people who aren't fans will usually refer to this Godzilla, as like juvenile Godzilla, and for some reason assume that he becomes an adult later on in the film.
It's something weird that I've noticed. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm not
I
really
know
gonna
you
get
tried to
out
give
on it.
this guy some good faith and all that, but Zim just crushes
Yeah,
that.
I shouldn't do it. Also, I just wanted to add this guy is saying the same thing I have heard every single person in the planet say about Jaws or Alien. Like, this is so basic. Ugh.
And we sure as hell know he's not going to stay this small. Again, small touches like this that make him more threatening. Something else I'll point out here is that every single scene Godzilla has here is made incredibly well. Each one has its own unique feel and vibe. Pretty much every single one of them feels different. You have night.
How do you quantify feel and vibe? Especially vibe. I hate how that word has been
I feel it
tarnished
made
over
me
time.
feel.
Like the word
Yeah.
vibe over time has become part of the lingo of pretty much everybody on the internet. I hate it. Along with the
I
usage of
hate
peak,
when people say
it's
aura.
so
Oh God.
arbitrary. Oh God, aura. You know
So
when you say
horrifying,
aura,
right?
when you think of when you say aura, I think of the yellow aura of a Super Saiyan. You know the with that. That's what I think
Black,
of
you're
when you
giving
say
me
aura.
Vietnam flashbacks with that. With the word.
And instead,
I
now
love
it's
that
just
you're the aura
aura
man.
farming.
You're
I
the,
have
the
aura.
cool kids nowadays.
I don't get it. I don't get aura farming. Like, what happened to just saying this guy looks
You know,
cool or
watch Solo
badass?
Leveling.
I do not watch them Chinese cartoons. Kidding. I have seen episode 1 and 2. I
And
thought it was
its
okay.
content, but also its feel. And it's why when you leave the theater, you can point out and name every Godzilla scene, no matter how much time has passed from watching the movie, at least if you're paying attention, like me. The second scene, dude, talk about tension. When Godzilla pops his little head out of the water and starts swimming towards them, that's going to shave a few years off your life on the tension alone. Good Lord. I love the build up to his appearance, too, with all the fish, boop, 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 floating up to the top. You get that feeling of, holy shit, something's about to go down. Here we get our first real look at this big Godzilla, and it does a great job of having him take that big boat down. That was apparently the best boat. Quick hack for villains, okay? I'm going to give you a little cheat code, writers. If you want to convey their strength, give them something big to go up against and say, yeah, nobody can defeat that thing. It's too scary. If someone were to defeat that thing, man, we'd be screwed. And then have them, well, defeat that thing. It works every time, dude. Come on now.
I love how this guy's telling us how writing works. Like, hey, writers, here's a tip. When previously he missed a detail, a very important detail that kickstarts the rest of the plot with regard to 2014, which really makes you wonder, okay, well, your credibility is already in question. Why should we listen to you?
Not
Exactly.
only that, like who cares about his movie analysis? He called Godzilla a setting. He doesn't understand the meaning of the fucking word, and that's not related to medium. That's related to fucking basic vocabulary. I'm not
Yeah,
even someone that speaks English as their first fucking language, and I knew that setting didn't involve anything with
yeah,
Godzilla.
no, you and me both, bro. English. I wouldn't even say it's my. It's because I learned English and Spanish at the same time, so like I don't know which one came first, the chicken or the egg. But like even still, like I often
But in this
pretend.
case, would it be the donut or the burrito? Or the burger or the burrito?
That almost sounds sexual, so I'm not going to acknowledge it. But
So one thing I want to add about the whole thing about setting and what the difference between character, like it'd be one thing if they were saying that, like this particular setting is like a character in of itself. Like if you're watching like a Dracula movie, like I don't know, like Bram Stoker's Dracula or Nosferatu, and you say like the castle that Dracula is in is like a character in of itself, mainly because of the foreboding, eerie, creepy, scary blood chilling atmosphere going on with there. Like that would be one thing, but I kind of like to just say that Godzilla is a setting and not a character. It's just not true because he's a living being,
Yeah.
not an environment.
It's like he thinks it's fucking Godzilla from the Netflix movies. I don't get it.
Even that's not technically true because Godzilla Earth is still a character in of itself, allegedly.
No, I said Mecha Godzilla from the Netflix movies.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, fine. All right.
Sorry, I've been half paying attention to the chat because me and my friends have been singing "I Am All of Me."
You're good.
Now
Right.
sing on Blue. Sing on Blue by Eiffel 65.
Time, dude. Come on now. I think the third scene, though, might be my favorite. We get our classic scene of Godzilla, knocking down buildings, all that jazz. But we all know the standout here. It's the atomic breath. The genius about this scene is the fact the atomic breath has been hidden this entire time. He's gonna make it count, and damn, dude, it counts. The buildup is perfect. The music goes insane. As each individual spike loads up, it gives us almost this timer, this countdown effect. We know what's about to happen, but we don't know how crazy it's gonna be. And when it happens, it's even crazier than we ever could have imagined. A perfect scene, one of the best I've seen in a long time. The ending also perfectly uses his breath as a device for tension because we know how bad it's going to be if he gets it off and lands it. So him trying to use it, it makes the finale that much better, that much more, scary. The whole ending is awesome. Every Godzilla scene is absolute perfection. Godzilla -1 pulls off an amazing Godzilla, one of the best Godzillas. He's scary, he's big, he feels throwback and retro, but still with some modern flourishes, some modern...
I literally don't understand what he means by retro, at all.
Beyond the fact that Godzilla looks like a retrosaur, which is a natural part of the design, that just...
Yeah, but even then, it's okay.
Maybe it being
it's like the vibes and feels things, it's not really a word that
it's
Godzilla's
aura,
just like setting.
No, he's aura farming. He's aura farming.
Oh, he's aura farming.
Oh God, I'm glad Z-Way isn't here. Oh man. Takes and some changes that makes him unique and makes him scary as hell. Love this guy, love this villain, amazing. I'm gonna give this version of Godzilla a 9. Turn off the number.
It's like one of those things where it's I agree with the rating, but just the entire getting to that was just painful.
Yeah, I agree with the conclusion, but the steps to I like the destination, but the journey getting there is just kind of a wreck.
Good analogy.
Say the Slop was the friends we made along the way.
A good analogy for this is, so I've been playing People Playground recently, and I detonated a naval mine right in front of one of the humans there, and there was an X that I marked as a place for how far a body part can reach. I found that the head reached there first, and then the rest of the body came in flying after the naval mine exploded. This is exactly what this guy's doing. He exploded himself at the very beginning, and all the other body parts are just arriving at the finish line slowly. It was very unorthodox, very weird, very strange, very almost just horrifying. How he got there, just why.
I want somebody to take that entire sentence out of context.
Oh, someone probably will.
I hope they do. I love playing People Playground. I blew somebody's brains out there.
So, the thing is, in the end, all he did is criticize a bad movie and then praise a really good movie. He didn't really do anything special. And in the meantime, he fucked up over and over and over again. Not only things about movies, but also basic English.
Right, bro. I didn't realize that a thing could be a setting.
I didn't know humans could be a setting. Well, technically, if you really think about it, women are settings because they can get pregnant.
Oh,
well played.
Here's the thing: unless you're talking about Osmosis Jones, which takes place in a character's body, then a character can't really be a setting, now can they?
What about Arnold Schwarzenegger? What about Arnold Schwarzenegger? He was a setting once because he got pregnant once.
Yeah, and actually, like they could be a setting if the baby is conscious, technically. So if the baby is conscious, then the woman could be a setting and also a mecha.
Interesting.
Technically, a male could be a setting too, because sperm.
Yeah.
True.
Like I said, spermade. And technically, the characters of the Magic School Bus are both characters and settings. Because one day, Miss Frizzle took the kids to the inside of Arnold's body without his consent.
I think it was I think it was Ralphie's actually.
Wait, that was his name?
Yeah, Ralphie.
Oh, the kid with the glasses that always complains about Miss Frizzle.
No, Arnold is the kid with the glasses. Ralphie was the one with the green shirt and cap.
Oh no! Because I remember that episode. It was the episode where he wanted to sit the trip out, and he was like, "Okay," and then Miss Frizzle said, "Come on, class, we're going on a trip inside Arnold because he's actually the trip this time around. We're going to explore the human body, and then we get to learn about the human body through Arnold." And then Arnold was so weirded out.
All I know about
because there was another one that I think is more popular where Ralphie is sick and they decide, hey, let's check out how the immune system works. So they go inside his bloodstream.
Gamera becomes a setting when the kids go inside his body to find the Jiger larvae.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's me, motherfucker.
They pull a fantastic voyage.
Do you think that Mr. Fantastic could also count as a setting? Because he has the power to turn himself into like a place or something.
I think so.
Really?
Thanks so much for watching. New villain review pretty much every.
Yep. So it's just showing at the end.
Do a villain review on Destroya, you coward.
You gotta do better, Jay. You gotta step up.
You gotta do better. I love that. But I love the fact that I think those videos all together are, I think only 2 of them are like 4 minutes. Only one of them was like 6. But if we're going to say they're all 6, there's like 18 minutes that we were able to expand to a 3-hour live stream. I love that so much.
That is insane.
But yeah, that is wonderful. Goody Slop.
Delicious. Thank you.
It wasn't even entertaining enough that, like there was something outrageous. It was just like mediocre slop.
Yeah, that's
mediocre. That's a bit generous of a word for some of that.
Bold of you.
When you were when I saw the title of the stream, I initially thought that the conversation topic was going to be about slop movies and the merits of their existence, and I had a whole speech prepared where I was just gonna go, and that can just turn into the epilogue of the stream.
Save it for the Up from the Depths.
Yeah.
Stream. Save it for that one. Don't
can't wait for
that.
I do have slop in the title, so
I cannot wait for that stream.
Because I do have
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that stream because Up from the Depths, that video made me hate GXK a lot more than I initially did because, oh my god, what he said. The things that he said, you could literally just play bingo with everything he said. It's every single bad defense you've ever heard from any movie ever rolled up into one. It gave me flashbacks to Patrick Willems and Chris Stuckman and Just Right. Literally just arguments that you've seen before from different franchises years, just decades ago, and it is the most vapid, incoherent, insulting, and just downright stupid defense for GXK that I have ever witnessed in such a long time, and it pissed me off so much. I am excited, and I have a lot of things to say about that video.
Some of the statements that sorry, Lau.
Don't worry, I'll be fast. To me, the problem is that a lot of people use those defenses and then they don't use it for other movies that they dislike. So it's always a little bit hypocritical to me.
Yeah.
Not only hypocritical, but the way they use it is also completely arbitrary. They will pick and choose which ones to use it and which ones not to use it, and then claim either objectivity or subjectivity depending on where it suits their needs. Like, oh, this thing is great in my opinion.
Yeah, like some points in that video, it makes it just come off almost like a time capsule from the days of like when The Last Jedi was like fresh in everyone's minds, like just when with the whole intended for children argument being used. It's like we should not be y'all should not be using that as like an excuse.
I mean, it's kind of nowadays. It's kind okay. So people say, "Oh, movies for kids can be good," but then we also let a lot of great kids movies fail, like Transformers One,
Yeah.
and like
I was actually
it's tragic.
yes.
Yeah, we
I
let the
was going
great
to say
kids
the
movie
same
fail,
thing.
and we let Transformers One down, and we let The Lion King rise up.
Plain
Actually,
that
the
I
case.
will
scene
avenge you.
that I
You remember that scene in the Northland? I will avenge you, Transformers One. I will save you, Sonic 3. I will kill you, Avengers Doomsday.
Sonic 3 was relatively successful.
Oh, so it was saved. Good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was safe.
we saved at least one of them. So
I mean, I have some problems with the plot and little bits of Shadow's characterization because a lot of it comes across as like the meme version of Shadow versus like actual Shadow. But overall, I did have a good time with it.
That's
yeah,
good. At least.
Yeah.
live and learn, blaring
I
at the top of. Did live and
I
learn
got-
make you jump out of your seat?
Live and learn. I love the soundtrack for this movie Sonic 3. My one complaint is that they don't expand much on Shadow's musical theme as much as they thought they were gonna do, because I thought they were gonna do both Live and Learn and I Am All of Me, but
I think
I mean I'm
they've
not disappointed.
they've stated they want to do a Shadow solo story. So I think if I Am All of Me is to show up, I think it should be in that.
I also don't like that they turned Metal Sonic in at the very end of the post credit scene into functionally just Ultron. Like unless they're gonna do something like in the comics where Ultron, I like the comic storyline where Ultron just essentially says, "The reason why I'm alive, Hank Pym, is because you want me to, and you deep down agree with me."
Yeah, I
I
mean that's part of the reason why I'm kind of concerned about Sonic 4 is because Sonic 3 was was as good as it was that it makes me wonder if it'll be such a tough act to follow that 4 just won't really quite
I
live
think
up to it.
The
I
thing with
think it
Sonic,
was
the thing
also
with
strange
Metal
to have
Sonic,
Shadow be at the very end of the trilogy as well. I think they should have just ended with Metal Sonic instead, because they
I
went with
think
they adapted Sonic 1 for, well, no they didn't, but they did Sonic 1, then Sonic 2 was adapting Sonic the Hedgehog to the game, then with the actually no the second movie they were adapting both the second game and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Um my one complaint is that they didn't include the Big Arms boss or the Big Arms theme. Junkie XL, I'll
I
never
mean, we
forgive
got
you
the
for that.
Jetpack Robot, so that's a bit of a nice substitute.
I know, but I want Big Arms. Big Arms is the best boss theme besides Metal Sonic's main theme. And not just the Japanese version, but the US version, which is highly underrated.
Okay, counterpoint. Open your heart.
I wouldn't count that as a boss theme. That's kind of like saying You Say Run is a great, you know, uh, theme for like a final battle.
Okay,
It's not a bad track, but as far as boss themes go, that like a theme that represents like the final boss or something, I think both the Stardust Speedway, Bad Future, both Japanese and English versions, as well as Big Arms, and really Invincible, and really not Invincible, Infinite Theme and Sonic Forces. I think those are also excellent themes.
Infinite. I love Infinite's theme.
Infinite.
Yeah.
Oh
Too
wait,
bad
no,
the
I have
character.
point with me.
Yeah. Too bad the character was a. He was Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's literally him.
Yeah.
I'm not weak. Meh.
He lied to me. He shot at me. He hates on me. He's using me. He's dead to me. That's Spider-Man. He is my enemy.
I love that.
It's such a stupid movie, but I love it. It's my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time.
Oh my god.
But with that, I am happy to end off the stream right here. We'll start from Lou and go up towards me, do y'all shilling, and yeah. So, Lou, where can people find you?
Nowhere to be fair. Like, I'm not really making the channel yet. I'm writing some stuff. What I can say is that I'm just a dog with a gas tank, and go watch Novocaine because Novocaine is actually like pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
See, men.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a GXK video on the way. You know, it's in the editing process, in the editing bay. hopefully that will be done by the end of this month. But considering life and all that, I can't 100% guarantee it. But maybe if I have to, I'll push it until May. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And this coming Saturday, I will be hosting a stream on the Heisei Gamera trilogy because I've been going through all the Gamera movies that are out, and I figured I'd at least do the Heisei trilogy, if nothing else. But follow me on Sea Monster Essay, subscribe to it if you like, and follow me on Twitter, Sea Monster, and as far as recommendations, go watch Nosferatu 2024 as I usually do because the movie's awesome, the movie's great. As far as anything else, I guess so far, from what I'm understanding, the Heisei trilogy is going pretty well. So I guess that'd be a recommendation just by proxy. So yeah, there it is.
Black Man.
Yes. So life is currently kicking me in the balls. I am slowly becoming infertile through every blow. So it would be really nice if you supported me by subbing. The Godzilla vs. Kong video, its production is currently at a snail's pace. I don't know what to do about that anymore. I'm just doing what I can. Once again, life's kicking me in the nuts, so help me out here. I am working on a novel called God Morgue. As for recommendations, I have 3 recommendations. Firstly, watch Mad God if you haven't already. I'm not going to say anything about it, just watch it blindly. You're going to hate me for it or love me for it, depending on whether you like this kind of movie or not. But yeah, watch Mad God by Phil Tippett. Watch Invincible. It's really good. I love Invincible. Stand ready for my arrival, worm. I'm seriously, when that shit appeared, when Conquest appeared for the first time, I swear my worm was standing ready for his arrival. Yeah, Rooney trying to not make something sexual challenge impossible. I know. And as for comics, I'm trying to. Radiant Black is becoming a lot more popular, which is both a blessing and a curse. So instead, read Berserker by John Wick. Not John Wick. Keanu Reeves. God damn it. Yeah, you know what I meant. Fuck you. You know what I meant. Yeah. And maybe an Ultra Mega by James Herron. It's really good. Yeah, I got nothing left to say. GVK was horrible. I will stand on that. I will die on that hill. And yeah, give me money.
All right. So then you can find me on YouTube as Kaijunaut. I'm going to be working on hopefully some more upcoming streams. And also I'm working on getting hopefully something when it comes to my my stories that I want to get published in one way or another. I'm getting deeper involved into getting some of my projects off the ground. And then you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or Blue Sky as Vic Monstrous or Vic's Monstrosity, where you can find my kaiju art there, as well as some other things related to arts and such, takes on films, stuff like that. As far as recommendations go, watch Solo Leveling. It's really good. I liked it a lot. And then GVK and GXK are both awesome as well. So watch those as always.
Bold of you to say that.
I mean, I like them too. So
I mean, I enjoy them.
Zim, pull up the clip of Invincible bashing Conquest head, and please, thank you.
I don't have it queued up yet. I'm sorry.
Anyways, so yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Minecraft World 1954. That's my @ or just Minecraft World, where I have kaiju and versus related content. I have the Project Nemesis essay, well, the Nemesis character study more accurately, which is slowly but surely chipping away at. I did a little bit more work on the script recently, and then my Godzilla the Arrival pitch redux, which I have turned away from the outline for a bit to work on some of the storyboards for some of the sequences. So, yeah. You can also find me on Instagram and Kara, where I have artworks, and Blue Sky, where I post stuff, though I have not been as frequent recently because, and this is across all platforms. Well, Instagram, not really as infrequent because Kaiju OC April thing, I'm doing stuff for that. But Blue Sky I haven't really been active on, neither YouTube, partially because finals has been ripping me to shreds. So, yeah. And for recommendations, go read Project Nemesis, go watch the Gamera movies, go watch the Sonic movies, go watch Gurren Lagann. I was showing that to some of my friends earlier. And go watch The Prince of Egypt. I gave that one a rewatch recently, and I really, really loved it again. Like, that was... Sometimes I forget just how good that movie is. But, yeah, go give it a watch. Tiamat deserve better. Bye.
And you can find me Zimzilla99 almost anywhere. You just gotta add an OG underscore in front of it on Twitter, a YT behind it on PlayStation if you want to play with me there. But otherwise, I'm Zimzilla everywhere else. Stand ready for some stuff on the Patreon, and I will put the Patreon there because I will, in the next couple of months, I'm gonna be posting test chapters for a novelette that I am working on, which isn't tied to any of the bigger kaiju universes I have been working on. I just wanted something that was just sort of on its own, little smaller project, but something that I would get out for full-on publishing, as well as probably less interesting to kaiju fans, but I'm also been working on a fantasy book. Probably not going to be a series. It's just maybe one book called First on Top of the Wall, which essentially is a fantasy series, but kind of like Blood Meridian in a lot of ways. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, expect more speed paints because those are easy to do uploads. But I have another Godzilla Unscripted that's getting edited right now. I'm doing some more edits to the Rodan video, so that's going to be up soon. And May will be the Godzilla 98 comprehensive retrospective. It's going to be the first part of that. So that's going to be fun, guys. But I thank all my guests for coming on as always. I thank you, the viewers, for joining us through these 3 hours, almost 3.5 hours. You love it. And since we do have a few other streams planned, we are very close to the big old 99th stream, the 99 Zimcast. So stand ready for that. And I'm Zimzilla, and always.
Semper Fi, motherfucker.